What is up, friends? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. I'm over here in my night clothes and my house dress. I'm ready. I'm ready for bed. It's a no makeup Sunday. And I am about to do my little facial right after this conversation. But first, I want to come here, hang out with y'all, and talk about something that we are all losing our minds over. And that is trying to get in shape, get fit over 40, over 50, over 60, child. Just we over it is really where we at. And so I posted a while back some of my frustrations with being over 40 and trying to get my body back, feeling like I'm walking around in somebody else's body, basically. And it resonated with a lot of folks. So I was like, you know what? Let me bring my nutrition coach on here so she can like have a therapy session with all of us and help us make it through this whole thing. So I'm going to ask her a bunch of questions, but you guys feel free to ask her questions in the comments as well. And if you are watching the replay, don't even worry about it. I'm going to link her Instagram in the description box. You can hear her up. She's super cool. I love her to death. I'm going to bring her on because y'all didn't come and hear me talk. Y'all came to hear me ask her questions. So let's do that. Let's do that. Hey, Netra.
Hello. You know, I was excited.
Should I be saying the full?
No,
not to like be cool.
it's fine. That's fine. It was good. You know, I was excited when I just heard you say you're doing facial after. I'm like, oh, okay, you really are. You ready to relax for the rest of the day.
I was supposed to do it this morning when I first got up. That was my plan. Like, I'm gonna just get up and go ahead and get it out of the way. Because a lot of times if I wait to the later in the day, other stuff comes up. It's like, oh man, I gotta clean up. Oh man, I gotta, write some content. Oh man, I gotta do some planning. But I am committed because my skin needs it. Like, it's very textured today. Hi, Karen. How you doing? Thanks for coming to kick it. Nice to see you. So first off, let's start with Netra. Who is you? Tell us about yourself, what you do, how long you been doing it? How long you been doing this?
Wonderful. Well, so many people, I've been doing this a really long time. So I've been doing it for more than 20 years, but it also was some of my side business. I've worked corporately a very long time, and I decided a couple of years ago to leave that corporate life behind and just do what I love. So I've always had this as my side gig. And, I just know that it's the thing that brought me the most joy, to be able to help people be successful on this journey. And I took that leap and said, nope, it's time. I'm doing it 100%. And then I left. And so I think we are almost 5 years in of 100% entrepreneur and not just my side thing. So I love it and I will never turn back. But basically, I help individuals with creating sustainable habits. I've always helped women and men. But the most important part for me now is, as a woman who's over 40, almost 50, my main audience is women who are over 40, looking to change their life, looking to stop the diet roller coaster, and wanting them to feel more confident in the body that they're in and understand how to do it effectively and feel as confident as they can.
You saw I got excited when you said something because you said a key word, and I did my best not to interrupt you, which people who watch me interview people will know I'm good at interrupting people. So
listen, and I see
I'm very proud of myself in that moment. I'm so proud of myself. You said a key word. You said sustainable.
Yes.
She said sustainable. Y'all, like, let's get clear on this. Because a lot of us be like, oh, I'm trying to lose weight by my birthday. I'm trying to lose weight by the end of the year. Or I'm trying to lose weight for homecoming because, it's HBCU homecoming season. So we trying to get right before we go back on the yard and see the fellas that used to think we was fine in school. Like, don't forget, she's still fine, right?
Look, we still.
But you said sustainable. We're not talking about a time frame, a point in time, a date. You talking about forever. That's what you're talking about. And I love that you said that you like love doing this because I can attest that you're very good at it. Like, very good at it. I'm gonna keep it all the way 100. I'm gonna keep it all the way 100. Y'all ready? So let me tell you how I found Netra real quick. Can I tell you our origin story? Let me tell you our love story. So I had posted on my stories about how frustrated I was with, losing and gaining the same 10 pounds. Drop in the comments, amen, if you feel me on this. Losing and gaining the same 10, 15 pounds for like 2 years straight. 2 years straight, I was losing and gaining the same like 15 pounds. And I was so
Mhm.
frustrated about it. I had gone to see doctors to find out if there was something wrong with my gut. I had gone to see doctors to talk about, if there was something literally wrong with me. And one thing I
Mhm.
learned about the internet and Instagram, everybody's a fitness expert. I have never gotten so much engagement in my stories, Netra.
Mhm.
Never. Until I started talking about this. Everybody's sliding up in my DMs with advice. I
Mhm.
was like, I didn't ask for no advice. I didn't ask none of y'all for advice. I was just expressing my
Listen.
frustrations. And one
Mhm.
of my friends even started, I love her to death. She started one of her messages with, since you asked. And I said, well, actually, friend, I didn't. I
Yes.
didn't. But one person did say, she was like, I know you didn't ask for any advice, but maybe consider a nutrition coach. And she tagged you, my friend Laila, that you've worked with, that you still work with off and
That
on.
she did so well. She continues to do so
Yeah,
well.
she's doing fantastic.
Yes.
She was like, maybe it's time to call in someone. She was like, I know you know a lot. You've gotten in shape before, but things have changed. So maybe you just need another set of eyes. And I was like, I agree. I need somebody else to be like, hey, could you come look at this? Because I think it's right. It's like trying to proofread your own work, right? You know what you meant to say, but you don't see the mistakes in it. So like
Mhm.
I know what I think I'm doing, but I don't see the mistakes in it. And so her saying like, get somebody else to proofread this, like see if you're doing something wrong or if there's something you need to tweak. And I was like, you know what? I'm down. I reached out and literally we started working together the very next week.
And there mhm.
The very next week. And now you cannot get rid of me.
It's okay. You'll be
We friends
somewhere
for life.
close to me forever.
You in this
Somewhere.
booth. Like we friends for life now.
Yeah.
But it's I'm so glad that I listened to her. And I know I was very annoyed with everybody giving me this unsolicited advice, but I am on the one hand, I do appreciate people caring enough to share their advice, right? As a Libra who is a know-it-all, which you know about me.
Yes.
As a Libra who is a know-it-all, I'm like, why y'all think I
Yes.
don't know this already? That's how I felt about people giving me advice, unsolicited
Mhm.
advice. But I'm glad that she slid in and was like, I know you didn't ask for it, because that's a really good way to approach somebody, right? With unsolicited advice. And here we are now. So I think you told us how you got into this. Did you?
Listen, I did, but one thing I didn't say is it may feel like, well, how did I start it?
Yeah.
When I was maybe 15, I had high cholesterol at 15. Now, in today's standards, it actually wasn't, y'all, but I'm almost 50. So literally at that time, the measurement was different because there was some flaws in it and they
High
didn't
cholesterol
know
testing is
at
wild.
the time.
Yeah.
But at that time, it was called that, right? And it didn't make any sense because I was also a kid who was allergic to a lot of food. I didn't eat candy. We didn't eat chips. None of these things at the time. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so didn't even drink milk, didn't eat dairy, none of this stuff. I was definitely a meat, potato, vegetables type of kid. But it didn't make any sense. And all they could say, even at 15, and you think about what I'm talking about, y'all, I'm talking about in the early, it's still 1980s.
Right.
It's that's what I'm talking about, like approaching, right? Approaching 1990. And at that time, it was, hey, you know what? It's just cholesterol in your family. And I was like, that's bogus. At 15, I thought that was ridiculous. So fast forward, I go to college, and y'all know, just like everybody else, college living is really not that great. Today's world is a million restaurants, there's a lot of stuff you can do. But back at when I went to college, it wasn't like that. And so it wasn't the best, but it still was, my cholesterol had not changed. No, you're not too late. You're not too late. Somebody say, "Oh, I'm not too late." Yep, you're not too late. So it was like it still was a little high. And they said, no, you'll always just have high cholesterol. And that's the only thing you'll be able to do because your parents have high cholesterol. And I was like, that's not true. And again, at 22, I knew that wasn't true.
That don't
So
even make
there
sense.
began, right? There began my journey and my studying to be the expert that I am today. And I wish, and I'm going to say that. So some of y'all may say, well, she thinks you're an expert. No, I am. I will take it. I will gladly say, no, yes, I am. And I can help
Yes.
you figure that out and help you change things if you give yourself enough time. But so I was able to change that because number one, again, metric for metric, the guard stick or the parameters really became something different. So all that time in reality, I really didn't have high cholesterol, but at the same time, I said, okay, this is the life that I'm going to lead. So I started working out literally hard when I was maybe 22, strength training, doing all the things that you'll hear me talk about. I've been doing this since I was 22. And you have bumps in the road just like everybody else, but you're going to hear me say later today about what I mean when I say being consistent. No matter what life throws your way, no matter what happens, you just got to stay in it. And so consequently, here I am almost 50. No, I do not have high cholesterol. I don't have a high sugar. I don't have high blood pressure. And I help people do that every single day by getting rid of it, all the way from clients who are 40s and then my gym clients who are younger, all the way to clients who are in their 80s. So it's just about what you want to do and what you're open to.
Mm-hmm. I love how you were like, no, I am an expert, period.
Yeah,
period, boo. Isn't that what the girls say these days? Period,
yeah, period. I know I'm totally very modest and I'm very empathetic, y'all. I'm not a cocky person, but legit, like there's times when I have to know this what I know.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you
something. I know what I
know. I don't even believe in the like idea of like, women are afraid to brag.
No.
Brag.
I know what I know.
Do it. So because I don't think it's bragging, I think it's really just sharing your story, right? Mm-hmm. It's only bragging to people who feel intimidated by it. Mm-hmm. Right? That's the only person that's bragging to.
Yeah.
And then so when you feel that way, when you feel like somebody's bragging, it's really like, let me check myself. Like,
yeah,
what is it in me that makes this feel
I
like
want people to be that. I'm that person who I want people to be that confident about what you do. Because that means you're ready every day of the week to do what needs to be done. I love it. Say it.
Can I ask you how old you are?
Yeah, so I'll be 49 soon. I'm 48. I'm so excited. So when people are saying they want to get any older,
fantastic. Let me find a picture of you to show right here.
Fantastic. And I know it. I'm sitting at home, just like you. It's Sunday night. We very low key, right? Got my glasses on.
Super low key. You still cute. You still cute.
Like with my big t-shirt on.
Y'all, I'm trying to find a picture that I can pull up right quick because y'all gotta. Okay, I found one. Hold on. Let me see if I can share my screen. Boy, I gotta share it because my next question is about this photo. Let me show y'all.
And this one is that Zal? Zal Storm says exactly. We need to know what you know. Yes. And I'm always willing to give it.
All right, let me see if I can show. I'm gonna have to share my entire screen to share this.
Look, don't cut it off. Look,
let me make sure I ain't got no craziness up. Hold on. Y'all get out my business. Get out my business.
This a whole mess. See this? This is a whole mess.
See this photo?
I know, and there'll be some people who like, nope, I hate that, right? There'll be some people who like it, and there'll be some people who like, oh, I don't have any want to ever be that. And
hold on. I need to trust some things. You said you're 49?
Yes.
Y'all, this photo was earlier this year. I just
this is like just 2 months. This is 2 months ago.
This was earlier this year, right?
It's not like
so this is recent. This ain't no
this is not like the archives photo. Because I know everybody think. See, the thing is, and everybody will think, no, those are fake photos. We don't actually look like that. Now, here's the deal. When we want to take, this is the catch. When we want to take these photos, they are marketing photos. And the only thing that's different is we will cut down some water. That's all it is, y'all. The thing that you'll see that we cut down some water just so that you see every visible muscle possible. That is the point. But when you see your everyday, this is still how we look. Every single day.
I can pull up an everyday photo.
Yeah, I can pull up any everyday photo. Like, this is how we look.
I can pull up an everyday photo.
All this is the same. It's just it pop out more on the photos because we just pull some water, just a little bit of water out. But this is it right here.
That's a real photo. That's her. Because I remember when she went and took this photo. Yes. Let me remove this because it's gone. So.
And I like it. Jackie say that's some serious commitment. Yes. And remember, I have children. I've had a C-section. This is not just the life of, because some people will say too, oh, you never had children. No. Yes, I have. Oh, well, yours was nope. There's still a nice little cut on my belly at the bottom. Right. It's still there. Those things, it's all relative to what are we wanting to do? What's the commitment? And are you willing to do the things that need to be done? That's literally, are you willing to do it long enough to see what you want?
Okay. Let me ask you the question about that photo. And that's a serious question. How you get so fine? Like how?
I'm so mad at you right now. And so
I wrote this question down. I'm not even playing. That is
I'm mad at you. And the catch is in that photo, y'all, my trainer and I, so while I am a coach, And this is what I do for a living, right? All coaches have coaches, right? And so my coach, his name is Troy, and he helps me stay at my best. And I also help him stay at his best from a food standpoint. And so every year we do one full segment where we take people through a full transformation. And that actually is a part of it. So it's 16 weeks where we lock a lot of people in. And this year was maybe 22 people in that particular segment. And so if you follow me, you'll see me every now and then post pictures of those individuals, and they're regular everyday people, not like people who don't have jobs, not people who have all the time, don't have kids. No, these are real people who want to change their life. And so that was part of our photo sheet. So at the end, we do a photo shoot for all of the individuals. Yeah. But it's real life.
But did you tell us how you got so fine?
It's real life. That's how I do it, right? I got to work out every day. And so we got to be consistent. I always tell people, when, number one, I am part of the brand, right? So, and somebody who teaches nutrition, somebody who is helping you build the habits, I better look like I live the habits, right? Y'all don't want somebody who don't look like they live it. But it's not even just looking like we live it, because plenty of people can look good and not be good.
That's
right.
true.
And so that's very important. Right. And so everything that you all will ever hear me talk about is how to do it to keep you healthy. I will never talk about anything that's not going to keep you at your best and make sure you're healthy. That is the catch. So I will never talk about supplements that are going to cause a problem. You will never hear me talk about any type of drugs or anything that is going to have you hurt. This is very important.
Yes. So, and I trust you so much, because you always kept it real, and you guys will find this out in the questions that I'm about to ask, because she keeps it really real. And it's something that you just said that made me think about something Zac Efron said. You said you can look good and still not be good. I was reading or watching something. I think I was reading something. Y'all remember when Zac Efron was in Baywatch? Zac Efron was cut.
He had to take steroids for that movie.
I'd say he was probably visibly in the best shape of his life. Like we've never seen him that chiseled. He's been fine for a long time, right? Like he gets in really good shape, but he was chiseled beyond anything you had ever seen. But he said he was so unhealthy. He was like, I never want to look like that again. And if you've noticed, he ain't looked like that since.
Ever again.
He has never looked like that since. Like, I mean, his face looks very different because he broke his jaw and had to get reconstructive surgery. But his body has never looked like that since. He's like, I'm embracing my dad bod. He said he was so unhealthy. The way he was eating, and how little he was hydrating. Like, he said that he was almost sick.
Yeah. And he had to take some extra to look like that. And this is where, that's why I say I will never talk about anything that is not going to keep you healthy. And so when we talk about, that's when I said, like, kind of my main audience, while I also do work with fitness competitors, people who are in a sport, but I also, clearly my main goal is for women who want to be at their best. But fitness competitions, that world is a completely different world. And so even for my competitors, it's about, you have to do things that are going to help you stay alive. Look, number one. But number two, it has to be something that's not going to break your body down. And so anything that I ever talk about for my ladies, right, I am very protective, because I know what is on the other end of not doing things that keep you healthy. You all remember me saying I work with clients all the way in their 80s. So at every age range, I'm able to see the impact of things that you do or don't do at 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. And I will always talk about things that are going to keep you functioning and press you on things that are going to have you really upset when you're like 60, because sometimes we can't see that far. Sometimes we can only think about the things that are happening right now, or you like, gosh, well, in the next 5 years. No, what about the next 10? In the next 10, what is that going to look like for you? In the next 20, how is that going to be?
So that's I've been thinking a lot about, like, my 80-year-old self. Like,
your future
what do I
self
want to be able to do? I still want to be able to move around. I still want to be flexible. I still want to be able to, like, play. I've seen videos on Instagram of, like, 80-year-old women being able to play with their grandkids, or, race toddlers. They ain't out here racing, but they race a tot. Like, they're just mobile. And when you look at folks who are in their 80s that are like almost completely immobile, can't move around, need people to check on them. Like, it's like, is that the life I want at 89?
Yeah.
I know some of it you can't help. Like, some of it is out of your control, but what is within my control, child? Listen, I'm
Yes.
trying to
And
control it.
so I know the ladies are waiting to hear, well, how do we do this? Like, what is
Yes,
really
yes.
happening?
First question I got. I'm going to
Mhm.
talk first about. I think let's start out with relating, right?
Mhm.
Because I think that a lot of times we think it's us, or we're alone, or we're failures, or things like that. So I want to hit on, what are some of the biggest frustrations that you hear from women over 40 in
Okay.
general, like who want to be in shape? What are some of the frustrations that you hear the most?
Absolutely, by far, and parts if we can help it, and your teeth, and that's what we're gonna talk about that today around eating your food. When we talk about nutrition, I'm gonna get into, hopefully we have enough time, and I'm gonna mention something about that a little bit later.
I
So
got all
y'all,
the
let's
time. I
keep
ain't going
that,
nowhere.
let's keep that top of mind, that she wrote that around, even especially your teeth.
Okay.
But a couple of the largest complaints is, number one, everybody wants a flat belly. That's number one. Everybody, I don't care what size you are or what you aspire for your whole body, right? Because everybody has a different look they prefer. Some people
Mm-hmm.
want a little bit fuller. Some people like a thicker appearance. But what I will tell you with 100% certainty, everybody want a flat belly. There can be different levels of flat, right? Some people may say, I want
Mm-hmm.
six pack. Some people just say, no, no, no. I just want a flat. I want my waist smaller. So that's number one, flat bellies. And how do you get it?
Yeah.
Right? Number one complaint, or number two, still around bellies, but the constant bloating. And sometimes we just don't understand that. So people are constantly feeling like digestively, I have some issues, but
Yeah.
either we don't know that's what they are, or all the only term that you can share is, I constantly feel full or bloated. That's two.
Mm-hmm.
And then number three is just stress. And this is a big deal between stress and sleep. We could talk about the food all day, but when you talk about things that are very large, kind of overarching themes, stress and lack of sleep are by far, and especially for women over 40, because when we don't get those two things, the impact is massive. And so
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times people ignore no sleep, but they can acknowledge, if asked, gosh, my sleep is horrible. What are
Yeah.
we doing about it?
Don't realize
Nothing.
that it's impacting you.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are we doing about it? Nothing. And then the stress. I just have to work through it. I just have to work through it. You know, it's a part of life. Yes, stress is a part of life. And while we do need forms of stress, sometimes that is the thing that can propel you forward. But you have to understand, sustained high levels of stress are not normal, and they must be addressed. They are by far the biggest challenge that women will face.
I'm gonna tell you something. I think for a lot of Black women, I just have to deal with it. It's like foundational,
Yes.
right? It's and passed down generation to, like, if we want to take it there, it goes all the way back to slavery, right? And the things that we just had to deal with. We just had to deal with the husbands being sold away. We just had to deal with children being sold away. We just had to deal with, master coming in and having his way with us. Like, we just had to deal with being beat. Like, we just had to deal with stuff. And that mentality has been passed down and passed down. And it's evolved and changed, right? Because we even let nobody do all that stuff to us today.
Yeah.
But we
It
let
just
people
shows up
do,
differently.
other things to us,
Yes.
right? We let people get away with mistreating us in very different ways. We get
Yes.
away with letting people step over our boundaries and overusing us and
Mhm.
all kinds of stuff in different ways. And we don't see it because this is
We think
hereditary.
it's normal. Because it's
This is
normal,
normal. I'm
and
supposed to just deal with it and move on.
you don't wanna tell anybody that this is what it is, or it almost feels like you don't have the right to tell somebody, I'm in over my head. I'm a little too
You
deep
don't have
in,
the right
and
to
like
tell
I
somebody.
can't. Yeah, people don't wanna
Is
say
is
anything,
it
right?
Oh my God. Like, that's
Because
a whole
it feels
different
like
live
it's
session.
normal. It feels like it's normal, but the problem is when you start talking about women in this age range, and I always say there's a lot of things that happen because at this time of life, between 40 and say 55, right? Maybe like 45 to 55. What
Mhm.
makes it so challenging is because these are the highest stress years that anybody will face, because it means that you are probably still in the height of your career. You
Mhm.
may have decided to open a business. You may be going through some familial changes, i.e., maybe you're getting a divorce, maybe your parents are aging, maybe you have just recently lost a parent, maybe you are a caregiver to a parent or even an older sibling. You may have kids in age range of elementary, middle, high school, and college all at the same time. On
No.
top of, you are also in a stage where your own body metabolically is actually changing. And so I call it the perfect storm. These are perfect storm years. And when we talk about handling stress and understanding the ability to have some boundaries, is okay. The ability to tell people no and not set yourself up for failure. And it
Child,
is so high, and it happens across women of all cultures, where
yeah.
it is so high that you don't understand the impact. And so, as I said earlier, when I talk to you about things, it's going to always be about how to manage health. When you have this many things going on and they go unaddressed, it means that your weight gain is going to happen faster. It
Mhm.
means that you're going to be slower, both physically and mentally. It means that metabolically, you're going to start to see cholesterol rising, sugar rising, pressure rising. And you don't even, and you feel like, I'm not even eating. It has nothing to do with your food. It's literally like you at that
Your
point.
body. It's you and
It's
your
your
body.
body. It's you. And
Yeah.
understand that prolonged levels of this are also the things that having women with higher levels of dementia and Alzheimer's. And so these
Mm.
are things that you used to think, especially in our age range, anybody who is probably 45 to 55, in that age range, we would have thought about Alzheimer's as people who are like 80 something.
Oh, that starts now.
But it's not. You are seeing people with Alzheimer's markers. You are seeing people with the start of Alzheimer's. And if they had an actual CAT scan and MRIs, you're seeing it. And they're 60, and you're like, holy smokes, there's
That's
no way it should be there.
it's wild.
So
That's
this
wild.
is why I say, when you talk about the things that are most prevalent, it's those things, or the things that concern people the most or can be the most dangerous, right?
Yeah.
And so this is where it is. I
Okay.
got plenty
So,
others, but those are extremely like, hold on.
I'm gonna tell you what my biggest frustrations are as a woman over 40. And you hit on it like around the end there, like our bodies are going through so many changes. Like for me, the biggest frustration, and you guys feel free to drop your biggest frustrations in the
Yes, because
comments.
I'm looking too. I
Some of
can
my
see
biggest frustrations and the things that I hear people sounding off about are like, I feel like I have to start over getting to know my body. I spent 39 years. I can't say 39 because I didn't know my body as a baby, obviously. But let's start from 18, even 19. I spent 20 years knowing my body and knowing how to get it to perform and knowing how to get it to respond. I know that if I eat clean and work out for at least 2 weeks, I'm about to look different.
Mhm.
And that doesn't happen anymore, right? So it's like I don't know this body. I feel like I'm trapped in a stranger's body. So that's a huge frustration. The other frustration is a lot of the things that are happening to us in perimenopause, and then I assume in menopause, is are things that like make you feel like you're losing your mind, right? Like brain fog and forgetting things. And for me, as a person who is completely addicted to being productive, not having the energy or motivation to do things, like when I can't make myself do anything, now I'm frustrated because like I'm like, am I lazy now? Like what what is happening to me? Who even am I? So
Mhm.
there's two things happening. There's this unfamiliarity with my body, and then I'm starting to be unfamiliar with myself. Like
Mhm.
I am fundamentally changing as a person, and
Mhm.
I'm not who I thought I was. That's what it feels like.
Yes, and you have to understand, and so there's so many layers to it, because on the surface, we all may be in that stage, but you may be hearing so many like advertisements, so many things that just say hormone help, hormone this, take this, you're gonna need this, cortisol levels this. But the fact is, cortisol levels are supposed to rise and fall throughout a day. That is what
Mhm.
normal people experience. That's a part of what helps us get it together when we need to. That's a part of what
Mhm.
helps many of you deliver that presentation when it's time, right? That is what that is. But what we're not paying attention to is hormone changes that are happening in your body have so much to do with clearly some things that are changing naturally, but
Yeah.
it's so much about some of the things that you are actively doing or not doing.
Mm.
And
People get it
so,
worse, right?
yes. So your first step, oftentimes the first step for many people is, hey, my hormones are off. I'm going to get a hormone check. I'm not saying don't do that, because I think you need to start to form some baseline. But the problem is, when we're younger, you don't get hormone panels. So you don't have any idea of where your hormones were in the first place.
There's no
So
baseline.
so you don't have a go-to, like, okay,
Right.
2 years ago when I was 37, it was this, and now I'm 45 and it's this. You don't really know, because remember, hormones are in a range. And this, like,
Mm-hmm.
are you in range? Yes. Are you in range for your age group? Yes. So the only time that is so obvious to a practitioner that something is off is when you are outside of the range, high or low. So that is when immediate hormone concerns or hormone therapy is enlisted, because you are out of the range. So then
Yeah.
oftentimes when you are going to a doctor and you saying, I just don't feel like myself, they're saying, oh, it's fine because you're in range. So that means
Mm,
nothing. It means nothing, because any practitioner has to deal with anybody who we want to go to. Let me say that. You want to deal with somebody who is saying, walk me through what you feel like. What are your symptoms? Because we
right.
need to address symptoms. And regardless of what the panel says, what are you experiencing? That's number one. But then number two, regardless of even that, some of that is around, if you tell me you've got brain fog, if you say, gosh, I'm really having trouble sleeping, my hot flashes are crazy, or my night sweats. And then if I say, do you still drink alcohol? Do you still drink wine? And you tell me yes, but you know full well that that is exacerbating symptoms. So at that point, even if I was the practitioner who said, I'm going to address your symptoms and I'm going to give you hormone therapy, if you didn't stop drinking, it's probably still not going to help you. And so there has to be this give and take of,
Don't
we got
nobody
to
want to hear that.
really look at what's happening? What are we doing? If
Don't
we're
nobody
not,
want to hear that. Netra.
listen, if you're not going to stop,
I'm
look,
going to
I'm
drink.
secretly, I think Libria says, you're talking to me. You're talking to me. Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Talk about. I can
But
hear you. La la la
you
la.
got me with a wine. Listen, these are the real things that happen. And people say, hey, you know what, coach, I just really don't want to give that up ever. Well, then I think you're telling me flat out that you're okay with what you're experiencing, or either you're saying, I'm going to have to get some very strong pharmaceuticals to kill it, right? To stop it while I can still drink this wine. But what you're not seeing is it's just a suppression. And at
Yeah.
some point, you're going to have to deal with it. And the longer you wait, the harder it is. And so it's stuff like that. Or when you say, I'm really not sleeping. And I say, well, oh, let's talk about, your sleep routine. What does that nighttime look like? And please understand, everybody who's listening now and later, I am someone who fully understands what it means to be at your limit. I'm somebody, remember I said I was a corporate professional. I was the group vice president. I ran the state of Florida. Like, I have children. I'm married. There's so many things that are going on. I used to work 80 hours a week. Well, I used to call it first shift and second, right? You put your kids to bed. I'm at football practice. I'm at track practice. You putting the kids to bed and I'm pulling up 100 other emails and it's 11 p.m. and I still think I can do it. Like, I know what it feels like. Right. And then I'm getting up at 4 to go to the gym. Like, I'm barely feeling like I'm making it. But the only difference was I knew enough because I coached it too. So I knew how to get around it. But most people, you're not going to know what I know. And so was it good that I was doing that? No, which is why I said something had to change. Okay.
Yeah.
But when you don't sleep and you know it, but we still are scrolling Instagram, or you are scrolling, watching TV. This is something because you feel like you've worked all day and you're like, well, it's late. I have to watch, these 2 programs because I feel like I deserve to have this time for this break. But you know what you deserved? To have a real good night's sleep so that we could function better the next day. Or if I say, hey, well, what are we eating? Walk me through, like, just how's it look, right? It doesn't have, I'm not looking for anything fantastic. I'm just saying, hey, what are we doing? And you tell me I don't eat till 1 p.m. Come on, folks. That is like, stop.
All right.
Stop,
I got to ask you
time out if you tell me you're eating at 1 p.m. for the first time.
Because we're about to go there. Go there. So I'm going to ask you what you think about some things. Okay. I'm going to hit you with a couple things. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 6 on the list. And people watching probably got some questions too about these things.
I'm looking.
So since you brought it up, that's actually my very first question. What do you think about intermittent fasting?
I know you're saying it. Listen, y'all. I will tell you, intermittent fasting has been around such a long time, but it
Yeah.
just wasn't called that. It just wasn't called that, right? Let me see what she said. Portia Hyman, my fighting weight isn't realistic last year. Ah, yes.
Somebody mentioned that part of our problem is we want to look like we used to look, and
Yeah.
we might need to
And
let that go.
And here's what I'm gonna come back to that too, because sometimes what we used to look like, you got to understand what you used to look like is just youth on your side. That what you used to look
Yeah,
like is just youthful.
yeah,
But what we're trying to do is look like we want to look intentionally. And that
yeah,
is very different. And that body, honestly, is better than the other one
yeah,
because it's more intent behind it. And it's not just youth and
yeah.
youth on your side, right?
We're gonna
Okay.
get there
So
too because
to your question.
I got a question about that too because you and I talked about health goals versus vanity goals.
Oh, I
So
love it.
that's
And
something
this one, oh, say, so Nikki just said, I literally don't eat until 1 PM. Let's really talk about
yeah.
this
Let's talk about
because
intermittent fasting right quick. Oh,
so okay,
if we go over an hour, are you okay? Because we at
I'm
35
okay.
and we
I have
still
time.
got
I
a
have
lot
time.
of questions. Okay.
I have time. So, first of all, intermittent fasting, most people naturally have a form of fasting. That's a natural thing when you stop eating and when you start. Most people have a routine in that. So I don't think that majority of people actually need to cut it, right? But here's the deal. Right now we have a lot of people trying to do intermittent fasting where we call it's a 16-8 window, and some of you maybe even doing what we call an 18-18-6. We got 16-8 and 18-6. What does that mean? It means 16 hours no food, 8 hours food, or some of you are even more extreme. And what you're actually doing is 18 hours no food and 6 hour window of food. And let me tell you what's happening. Many of you who are doing that, you are active individuals. You've gotten up at 6 and 7 a.m. You exercising, you running businesses, you dropping kids off to school, you got conference calls all day long. You're trying to handle whether it be a married life, dating life, social scene. You're trying to do all of these things, but you operating under caloried. And so this is what happens. You have waited so long to eat that by the time you do eat, you usually will either eat something you did not need to, it will be a very either heavy carb or fatty meal, and we still missing the protein, right? And then you will get into a situation if you wait too long, digestively, when you are 45 plus, 50 plus, digestively, most people need a little bit more time to work through food, right? Because that's a change. As estrogen drops, you also notice it through the intestinal walls. And so those are the things that help push food along the process. And so you can find that you digest food slower. So all of a sudden, now you don't eat till 1 o'clock or noon, and then you're barely going to eat dinner. So what ends up happening is even in those 2 meals, because you didn't eat like until later, you typically are overcarbed or over fat intake. But guess what's still missing? Your protein intake is very low because most ladies cannot eat enough protein for a full day in 2 meals. So you end up with fatigue, brain fog. You're going to start to see muscle mass decline. You're going to start to find yourself weaker. You're going to probably catch colds faster. You'll be susceptible to the flu, COVID, everything else. So it's super important that we find something that is very consistent for you. So if you naturally are somebody who say you don't like to eat breakfast, and by breakfast, I mean, some of you think about it as like the early meal. All breakfast means is the first meal of the day. So if you're naturally inclined to eat breakfast, say 9 o'clock, 9:30, wonderful, because you still got enough time to probably eat 3 full meals or an extra protein snack or fruit or something else. But those of you who are in that 12, 1 o'clock range, I promise you, you are the most inconsistent eater because of time. You've ran out of time. And you may initially feel like, oh, it helped me lose weight. Intermittent fasting was not designed to help lose weight. It literally was designed to close the eating window if you were a chronic snacker, if you had issues. And those of you, if you pre-diabetes or diabetes, intermittent fasting is not prescribed for you. Certain depending on certain meds, if you take a lot of meds, intermittent fasting doesn't really make sense because you can't take your meds properly. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really important that we don't go too far with it. And you
Yeah.
have to understand your body, what your body requires, and understand that just because you decided to shorten the eating window, didn't mean that your body's caloric needs lessened. That
So
didn't
I'm very
change.
glad you said that. I'm super glad you said that because I'm going to say this. You know, my biggest challenge was I'm eating all day. I don't intermittent fast, and I still was having trouble hitting my protein when we were working together. I still to this day, have problems hitting my protein. And I posted on one of my reels that, you know, on Instagram that I was having these frustrations, blah, 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 blah. And one of my friends who has gotten in fantastic shape, all credit to her, she has gotten in amazing shape. She commented, and a lot of people just drop off comments and advice without the whole picture, right?
Mhm.
She was like, you need to do intermittent fasting. And I was like, listen, if that's what you want to do for you, fine. It doesn't work for me. Here's why. Two reasons. One, exactly what I said, exactly what you said. I already have trouble hitting my protein in a full day. So shortening that window is not going to help me get the nutrients that my body needs to build and maintain muscle long term. Secondly, I don't want to do things that are going to have me lose weight and get in shape temporarily and things that I am not going to manage and maintain long term. I'm not going to intermittent fast for the rest of my life. I'm just not about to do that. And so I don't want to do something with that's a short-term fix in a short-term activity. I am trying to make lifestyle changes. And intermittent fasting ain't a lifestyle change to me. Now, if that's something, I was like, if that's something you want to do. So you said two things. You said you have to take into account what your goals are. So I think it's actually a little bit dangerous to just generically tell people you need to do intermittent fasting. You know
Mhm.
what? I would absolutely lose weight if I did intermittent fasting. You know why? Because I'm eating less food. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to lose muscle, and I'm going to lose my damn mind.
Right.
Because I'm just
It
not doing
depends.
this. Again, when I started this conversation, I said, I am thinking about 80-year-old Libria. 80-year-old Libria ain't intermittent fasting. She's not. So whatever I start doing today is when I want to be doing 50 years from now. Wait, that would make me 90. Sure, let's go for it.
Yep.
Let's go for it. So I really appreciate you saying that
Yeah.
and calling out. And this is not to like knock anybody that's doing intermittent fasting or have chosen to do that for themselves. Here's what I love about if you listen to what Netra said, Coach Netra said, she ain't never going to just knock anything. She is going to tell you, here are the consequences of that. Here are the things that you need to consider, right? Here's where it works well. Here's where it doesn't. You go make the decision. As long as you do that decision, make that decision with all of the information,
Yeah.
right? That's what I love about you.
Yeah.
You
You
approach it with,
definitely.
here's everything that you need to know about the impacts and implications of this decision. If you are okay with that, that is what you are selecting.
Yep. And we got to know. I know because I think it's Essential Ranch said she's been doing it a long time. It's literally something that some people naturally have been doing forever. It's not. It didn't even have to be called anything. It's just your natural tendency. But the most important part is if you can eat your caloric need in that time frame. If you cannot eat the needs for your current body, the body you're maybe trying to build, the goals you have, and if it doesn't work with your life, then it's something you need to consider not doing if you cannot make the swing. And so I always tell people if you want to try it just because it's going to help you be maybe more accountable to yourself, start with something that is like a lot more of an eating window, like 14-10. And I think that is something that people honestly naturally do anyway. So what does that mean? That's like a 9 to 7, 10 to 8,
Mm-hmm.
right? That I think that most people honestly can do no problem.
Yeah.
And it is very helpful. But we've got to be very mindful. And Ascension
Very
Ranch, I see
mindful.
that with the carnivore diet. Definitely, you got to get some veggies, and I will tell you if you might want to just call me. Just let's talk through that because there's implications when you are much older. Much
I need to
older.
ask you if there's a link you want me to share for people to reach out to you. Do you want to just give them your Instagram when we're done with this or what?
Yes, we can go. Yep, we can
Actually,
go
you know
through
what?
it.
Let's change your let's edit your name to your Instagram name. Can we do that? I'm gonna put it on here.
Okay.
At nutrition, because I know I've tagged you so many times that I know it by heart.
Yep.
Okay, that's her on Instagram. Let me hide this.
Let me
That's
see.
her on Instagram. All right, so I'm gonna move on to what do you think about keto and low carbs?
Yep. And so I would say we have to understand. So keto was originally designed for people who had neurological issues. And then it became mainstream as a weight loss tool. And any of you who've done keto in the past, maybe you've done it like 2, 3 times and then you get off of it. But there are signs that maybe some people don't need to do it long term. And that's why and I wish y'all drop a note, who hasn't recognized that the keto world has changed a ton, where you see keto changed where it upped the carb content. Then now it's keto flex. Have you noticed that? It's because long-term implications are very critical around lipid levels. Now, if you are somebody who had done keto a little bit differently, and majority of your fats came from, say, plant sources, and not just animal products, you can find better success and you don't see as much lipid damage. What do I mean by that? Very high cholesterol levels, you can manage it. But you had to also be somebody who strength trained pretty rigorously and had a very good cardiovascular routine. And if you didn't, and especially ladies who are approaching peri, like in it, and then to post menopause, you can see cholesterol levels skyrocket. And so it is very important that you stay very close to getting blood work done on a regular basis, but also have a very strong fitness routine. But I will tell you that as people get older in keto, it is very difficult for you to manage health concerns with keto only. And again, you may be thinking, well, this is what I do. Remember, I work with a lot of people, men, women, and much older individuals too. And so you can see some very different things. So I will always try to give you a precursor to what something could look like later. And I want you to think about it beyond just you. Think about what happens to the general population, right? Not you, who probably is super fit or doing something very good, but think about the average person. All right. Now, then when we talk about low carb doesn't mean no carbs. And oftentimes I think when people are trying to do low carb, you're taking the carbs too low. And so we got to be careful on what that means to you. And that matters based on your current age, your body weight, your height, your activity levels. So there's definitely no blanket statement around what is low carb. If you can think about it, like maybe low carb can be 20%, 25 to 20% of your total caloric intake in calories might be carbs, versus an average person, maybe 30 to 35%. If somebody's a marathoner, somebody who is a triathlete, they may be as high as 40% of calories are carbs. And so you have to know you have to understand your life, what stage of life you're in and what matters to you. But remember, low carb does not mean no carbs. And in general, it probably is floating around 20% of your calories when it's low carb, or like 25% of your calories when it is low carb. Maybe even 30, depending on how your fat or your proteins kind of line up.
What
All
do
right.
you think about no carbs? Because that was
Listen,
actually my next question. I just didn't put it on here.
no carb is dangerous. And by no carb, what that really means is that you are probably only eating vegetables and maybe some berries. That's probably what you're doing. If you are very low, and the catch there is, remember, people who are not eating keto lifestyle, which means that 80% of your calories come from fat sources. If you are not doing that, and then you all of a sudden try to also do almost no carbs, which means like 10% of your calories come from carbs only, but you don't also have the high fat, then it definitely means that your body is not going to shift. So remember, keto is to get your body in ketosis so that you will start to use fat as energy. But your body's preferred energy source is still carbohydrates. And so
Mm.
if we do no carbs without the extra fat intake, you are just going to be fatigued all the time. And you probably may even find yourself gaining weight, because I will tell you, you're probably going to be a binge eater, and you probably are going to still have some off calories. You're just going to find it from somewhere else. And so you got to be very careful, because you still need to function. If you think you're going to exercise, if you are going to train, where is your energy source if it's not coming from the fat, like keto? And then
Mhm.
you also decided, no, I'm not doing that, but I'm going to do almost no carbs. Where is your energy? You cannot stay there long. That's
Thank
what
you.
we do at somebody's, fitness competitors at the end. We drop those carbs, right? That's for pictures.
Yeah, but I mean, I think
Not for
that
real
it
life.
just goes to show, like, there's so many things out there that everybody's doing, and you see it working for somebody, right? All you see is the results. Goes back to what we talked about with Zac Efron. It looks good, but is it good? right? It
Right.
looks good, but is it good? Okay. So what do you think about 75 hard?
Oh, so 75 hard, I find that to be for some people just a way to create like accountability. And really it's a way to force you to be consistent. Because that's really what you're trying to do there is be consistent. So a lot of people have different things they're going to do in that 75 hard because the list that some people use, the original list, most people don't use that original list of
They be
the
making up their
exact
own
75
75
hard and
medium.
they do their own thing, right?
Yeah,
But at
yeah,
the end of the
75
day,
medium.
the 75 hard is what are your goals in this next 75 days? Some people may say it's for me to exercise, 5 days a week. It's for me to sleep. It's for me to, do meditation, or if it's read my Bible, or I'm going to drink this amount of water. I'm going to do these things. And you do that every single day for those 75 days. What we're trying to build is new habits.
Yeah.
And if that's what it takes for you to build new habits, but just know that in that process, 75 hard, don't try to do something that you cannot sustain after. Because oftentimes in the 75 hard, people will have things like, well, I'm gonna work out twice a day. If you telling me that 90 days from now, you cannot work out 2 times a day, don't put that in your 75 hard because all you did was a challenge.
Yeah.
And challenges are what get most ladies here in the first place. We're constantly doing, I'm gonna do this 6-week challenge. I'm gonna do this 8-week challenge. And so we're living this life in spurts of, okay, I'm gonna challenge myself and then I'm off. I'm gonna
Yep.
challenge and then I'm off. And so you
Yep.
can't keep doing that. You have to do something that you can do forever. And
Forever.
you have to
Forever, ever?
create habits,
Forever, ever?
behaviors, right? Ever, ever,
Forever, ever.
ever.
You just went right back to why Libria is not doing intermittent fasting. Like, I'm just not about to do it. Again, not knocking anybody, but I know 3 years from now, I'm not doing it anymore. 5 years from now, I'm not doing it. I want to do things that are, I also feel like, just so y'all know, I'm gonna plug real quick. I am doing a 10-week challenge, a 10-week fitness challenge. Not that Netra just was like, y'all are doing this challenge. That's cute. But I want to be very clear. I have also said that this is for me to get back to being disciplined. And I intend to do the things that I am doing for like forever. Like the goal is to just get back to it. And the things that I'm doing in this challenge or trying to get back to doing this challenge are the things that I learned working with Coach Netra. Okay. So next, I only got 2 more and then I'm gonna get to everybody's questions.
All the questions. Okay.
And then we'll come back to another segment that I have with you. How do you feel about hormone replacement therapy?
Oh, I would tell you, and I know for so many, especially for women of color, I think there can be such a stigma around saying you're going to get hormone therapy. And some of y'all, if y'all nervous about it, I need y'all to say it so then I can scroll and I'll see it in the screen. But because of the studies that have been done, in the early 90s or so, that study was really flawed. And what happened is it came out that hormone replacement therapy, right? Hormone replacement therapy was giving people breast cancer and it was basically killing them, right? But the problem was those were not bioidentical hormones and those women were in the wrong age range for the type that they were even trying to give them. They weren't getting,
and they weren't getting what is the other thing?
That's the thing. They weren't getting the bioidentical. They were getting like something very different. And so that is not what is offered today. However, it is very important to have that conversation, but you also need to be with people who actually deliver hormone therapy every day. What do I mean by that? Everybody's gynecologist or your endocrinologist does not deal in hormone therapy. Right. You may be going to an endocrinologist who understands your hormones, but they may not be providing hormone replacement therapy every day. And so if you question it, I say get with people who do it every day because they are up on the latest. They understand that there's different usages. There's going to be different dosing, different combinations, and understand that there are so many testing organizations now, and especially in Europe and especially the UK, that are looking at how to provide women estrogen support for the rest of their life. Because they're seeing that even in older women, the need to have estrogen support all the way into the 90s is actually critical because it's helping them maintain muscle mass. We always think that that is only a testosterone piece. It is evident that it's not. When you lose estrogen, there goes muscle mass at the same time. So testosterone is not the only factor. That was what the thought was many years ago. But now they realize, well, if that was the case, most women don't lose the amount of testosterone they have. Those are women who are, remember what I said earlier, outside of the range. That's not as common. But what is common and what is normal is for people to have low estrogen that's still in range. And so, why then all of a sudden so many women losing muscle mass at alarming rates? It is that drop in estrogen. So they realize that it is beneficial to have it. So I believe that number one, it is a very personal choice. But number two, I think that you shouldn't be nervous in having the conversation. Get the information to find out, is it something that is right for you? Are there any side effects? Is there any history in your family that you need to discuss around the right option for you? So don't be afraid to talk about it. But know this too, there are other options beyond hormone replacement therapy. You can do over the counter options. There are other herbal remedies. And so it just depends on you and what you think is right. I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I was muted because I was typing.
There we go.
I think a lot less people are afraid of it these days, and a lot more people are asking for it. And I'll say, I love. Oh well, she said she was nervous about it, but because I had never heard of the WHI study. I had never heard that it caused breast cancer. I didn't hear about hormone replacement therapy at all until I ran across Dr. Marie Claire Haver, who wrote the book, The New Menopause. She
Yes.
is fantastic. She has a whole lot of videos here on YouTube. She has her Instagram channel. She has the Menopause. She's kind of leading the charge with pushing more education on women's health and in this space specifically. So I highly recommend her book. I'm going to be honest, the book is a little more clinical than it should be for the layperson.
Yes.
But if you can catch her on a podcast, like listening to her talk about it is fantastic. I listened to her on a podcast. I sent it to you. You remember? I sent you the
Yes.
podcast. It blew my mind, and I almost wanted to cry because I felt like, oh, I'm not crazy. These are the stuff that's happening is happening to a lot of people, and I'm not
Yes.
crazy. And so she really opened my mind up and really introduced me to hormone replacement therapy. So it's something that I am researching with my doctor. But just like you said, it's so important to see doctors who do this. Not every gynecologist does this, and a lot of doctors aren't trained on it. And one thing that you and I talked about, because you and I talked about this very thing, is that a lot of people think hormone replacement therapy is going to help them lose weight. Right.
Yes.
And you're like,
And this is,
so I had to bring it up. So let's talk about it real
and this is why I say it's so important that you have the conversation. But if we jump back to the thing that I said maybe 30 minutes ago, hormone therapy is not going to fix your habits. That is always step one. If you do not address the food, and y'all, this is not about being perfect or not having things we like, but we talk about what do we do 80 to 90% of the time. If you're not addressing that, if you undercaloried, if you underproteined, if your energy is always bad because you don't actually eat, if you don't sleep well and you won't do anything different about the routine, if you don't drink water and you don't want to do it different, if you are high stress and you have not created a plan to get out of it, if you do not have an exercise routine that is consistent, that does include strength training, these are foundational things that should be considered normal. And if those are not a part of your normal day to day, you getting this over here is not going to change that.
Yeah.
And it's so important that you do this. And if you feel like you need the hormone therapy, you're going to do it. And oftentimes when people are a little bit older, the hormone therapy can take away, y'all, some of the aches and pains that you all are feeling, especially those of you who are deeper into peri, about to hit full menopause. You may be having aches through your whole body. Those of you who have stiff shoulder, you feeling the joint pain in your elbows, your knees, where it feels like it's everywhere. Right. And some of that can be inflammation, but that's why we got to eat different. Right. And then some of it is, Lord, I've got to desensitize this body. That hormone therapy can help you long enough desensitize so you can get on routine. But either way, you must get on routine.
Can't get around to work.
Do all it needs to do. And so it's super important that you don't think that you can ever miss this step. You can't.
Yeah.
You cannot miss that step.
Speaking of which, last one. What do you think about weight loss drugs?
Oh, listen, and I know, yes, and I know it can have such a stigma. It can have such a stigma, but I will tell you that as somebody who coaches people every single day, there are individuals who do need some help, but there are also individuals who don't, who get it, right? And so I would tell you that any decision when we talk about weight loss drugs, whether it be phentermine, whether it be some other type of pill that you may get from your doctor that's a prescribed fat burner, whether it's that you're getting any type of GLP-1 injections, you must understand that, again, you do not get to escape changing your habits, because I don't care what you do. And I'm gonna also pull this in too. If you got weight loss surgery, bariatric surgery, the sleeve, if you have plastic surgery, it doesn't matter what you think you are about to do. All of those decisions are very big decisions that each route has implications. And you need to understand what they are, but know that all of those routes still, this what I said over here, you still have to do it. And if you think that you don't, you will never be happy about it, and you will never get the full health, fitness, the full longevity that you want, because you're missing a piece, which is sustainable habits. You cannot escape that. But know that if you are somebody who has struggled a very long time, don't be afraid to talk about getting some type of injection help, but know that once you do that, the things that we talked about, do not pretend that you don't have to do it. And you like, oh, I'm losing weight. I'm losing weight. Yeah, you are. You're supposed to at that point. But trust me, you still have to do all of the things. It can suppress your appetite so significantly. It can make you sick. It can make you nauseous every day. Then they got to switch your dose, right? It can literally have you losing weight and you don't eat once a day. Understand that regardless of your queuing for hunger, just because you only feel hungry once a day didn't mean that your body required once a day. Your body's requirements do not change regardless of if you say you are hungry or not. So if you are under that, you still have to force it. Believe it or not, if you're on it and you have zero appetite, this is the food alarm, water alarm. You don't escape that.
So I keep laughing because she and I had this conversation because I went and talked to somebody about some weight loss drugs because I was like, maybe I need help. But the funny thing about the conversation was I was like, I shouldn't have to work so hard. And she was like, if you want it, you do. Like, ain't no way around it. Because and I did come into the conversation saying my concern about weight loss drugs is I won't be hungry enough to feed my body the nutrients that it needs. That is my big fear. And she was like, that is absolutely correct. You're actually going to have to work even harder than you're working now to make sure you're eating the right things to fuel your body and fight against what the weight loss drugs are doing to you, telling you not to eat, right? So I love that we had that conversation. And again, I'm gonna say this one more time. What I love about you, Netra, is you're not like, nah, don't do that. Flat out. You even started this comment. Did y'all notice, even when I brought up weight loss drugs, she was like, I work with a lot of people who need it. And I work with a lot of people who don't need it, but they still take it. So here's what they have to consider. She's never going to be like, just nah, unless we're like saying some crazy stuff.
Yeah, unless I think it's going to kill you.
Yes, exactly.
I'm going to tell you. Don't.
You ready to get to these questions?
No, 100% no.
You're like, nah,
you want to take steroids tomorrow. It's 100% no.
It's a big no because you're going to die.
100% no.
Somebody said, oh, you wanted to come back to the teeth comment.
Yes. So this is when we need to talk about, liquid nutrition. Remember that anytime you eat, the whole eating process is a process, right? Our bodies are so well made. And part of digestion starts with smell, taste, chewing your food, right? This is what gets those glands going. It starts those stomach enzymes getting ready to do what they need to do. Mm-hmm. And when we stop chewing food, you literally do not produce the same stomach enzymes that you normally would. And so I say that because we live in a world of frequent smoothies, protein shakes, and you don't actually want to eat your food. As long as your teeth work, I'm telling you, it is your friend to eat as many of your meals as possible, because it does still help with oral hygiene and it purposefully helps you digest food better. And when you
Mm.
stop eating foods, you will find that if you're somebody who always is drinking your meals, the moment you try to switch back into eating food, you're going to find that you're going to say, oh, you know what? My stomach is really hurting, or I just can't eat meat anymore. I can't eat this. Or, you know, when I eat this vegetable, this happens. You know why? Because you don't possess the enzymes necessary to break it down when you stop chewing food. And so it's
Mm.
super important that you try to chew as long as possible.
We're
When
gonna
them
hold on
teeth
to these
hurt,
teeth as long as we can.
use them.
We got
Use them.
to
Do not become victim to, you know, I'm just going to drink all my meals. Don't do that.
use it a
That
little
is
bit.
100%, I can tell you, a mistake.
Mm. Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you for making sure that we came back to that, because I don't think I ever heard that. I don't think I knew that. So thank you for making sure we came back to that. So Ebony asked, how do you know what's a realistic weight for yourself?
That's a good question. I'm reading this too. I was trying to get to my weight. I was at 20. So here's the catch, right? Sometimes when we are younger, I oftentimes will ask a client the goal weight that they may have in their mind. And I know you're saying, how do we know? Right. So I always will ask first, what was the look you liked? Can you remember a time? Because sometimes it's not a number. Sometimes it's the look that we like first, and then tell me, hey, how much did you weigh at that time? And how long ago was that? So let's say someone says, you know, say they're right now 185. I'm just going to give an example. Somebody's 185 and they may say, you know, I remember this was the look I loved. And they may even send me a picture. This is the look I loved. And I may say, oh, that's wonderful. Like, how many years ago was that? Okay, say that's 7 years ago. Okay, great. How much did you weigh then? You know, they're going to give me a number. Okay, great. So let's say that number was 155. Okay.
I feel like you're describing our
But I'm
conversation.
not. And it's
Those are my
sick
numbers.
because I'm not. You know, I'm not describing Libya right now. I'm not. But let's say it's 155, right? So then let's say, Karen, I hear you, Karen. And so let's say then I may say, well, when's beyond this picture, when is the last time you weighed like 155? They may say, well, I was in college. And they may say, well, you know, when I got to 155, here's what I was doing. I was on a low calorie diet. I worked out twice a day. I did cardio every day, but I was also 30, 32, right? Totally different life. All kinds of things are very different. So y'all heard some things I just said. I weighed that when I was in college. So we're going to say that's like 19 or 20, 155. And the only other time I did was say 7, 8 years ago, but here's what I did to get it. I was working out 7 days a week. 5 of those days I worked out twice a day, and I was in a very restrictive diet. So already we're in a situation that what we're looking for is something that right now, the way you achieved it and in the time frame you achieved it is already unrealistic, because right now you are not capable of working out 7 days a week and twice a day. And even
Mm.
if you were capable, right? Some of you clearly you capable, but are you going to? No, I'm not. No, I'm not going to. And no, I don't have time to, right? I still got to work. I still do these things. So then we have to look at, okay, how much did you actually weigh when you were, say, in high school? Because some people, I may have to go all the way back to, what did you weigh in high school? And I'm gonna give y'all an example. This literally just happened to me Thursday. This is a real example. How much did you weigh in high school? 175 pounds. She was a cheerleader, 175. And back then she was super fit, but she just was a little bit larger than her friends, right? And this is somebody who is non-Black. So the reason why I say that is because different bodies and what people like culturally, you will see very, very vastly different. What we like is very cultural at the same time. So she always felt bigger than her friends who were, say, 120 or 130 when they were 18. And she weighed 175, but a fit cheerleader. Today, she weighs 240 pounds. And this is somebody who has chronically dieted, chronically done things that are extreme, and is so over it and is in tears, right? So I'm talking to somebody who is in tears because she wants to weigh what? 175 and under. So I have to say, okay, let's talk through that. At your fittest body at 17 years old, you weighed 175 pounds. That tells me that your skeleton, I don't have her body fat. Y'all, I didn't have her body fat in my hand. That means your skeleton is already heavier than most. So you will never weigh 165 healthily and sustainably. It's not going to happen. That's unrealistic thought. So what we got somebody doing who is an adult who weighs 200 plus 240 has consistently been trying to strive for something that was beyond her fittest youthful body. That is not real. And so what does that do to y'all? What does that do to a person? It's traumatizing because that has her chasing something that doesn't make sense. So then we have to look at objectively, where is your body fat today? What does your lean body muscle look like? And understand, or your body fat percent, what does that look like? That comprises your skeleton, your lean body muscle tissue, and water. So if her body fat, right, and her lean body muscle mass, remember those three things combined, I'm going to repeat them, which is your skeleton, your muscle, and your water. If those things weigh on her body 150 pounds, you guys understand how she will never weigh 175 pounds sustainably, because that is under 19% body fat. And the average grown woman walking the street, unfortunately, is not 19%. The average woman in today's world is 32% body fat. And the majority of people who are over 45 are approaching 40%, which is not good.
Listen, that
has to be real.
Let me tell y'all something.
There. I know I did.
Yeah. So y'all remember at the beginning of this when she was like, I know my stuff. I'm good. I know what I'm doing. Have y'all noticed how many times she's thrown out like percentages just off the dome? Netra, I actually found the conversation that we had about this. Can I share it real quick?
Is this a clip? Go show it.
No, it's not a clip. It's a chat on Instagram.
Oh, it's a chat. Okay,
when
okay.
we first started working together, we were talking on Instagram. I don't know.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
Yeah. So you asked me, literally, everything she's telling y'all is literally how our conversations went. She asked me, what was the last time I felt like I was in shape? So I sent her this. No, we started here.
This one.
I said,
we look great. Look, okay.
That's me in peak shape. I was 32. I said I was eating decently healthy, working out twice a day, sometimes 3 times, because I would do workouts with friends like hiking or dance class. This is when I was like a crazy workout person. So to your point, you just said someone will tell you their peak shape and then tell you all the things that they were doing that are not sustainable, that they cannot do today. Right?
And the image that we have.
I tell you, you scripted our whole conversation.
This is what we're trying to get to, but look at what it took.
Look at what it took, right? I said, this was me in peak shape. Now, also, you also said, so I think as of today, I'm at 183. At the time, I think when I started working with you, I was like 194 or something like that. But here I said, I think I weighed 151, maybe 148, maybe. And then you said the next thing you asked is like, when was the last time you were in decent shape, right? So in 2016, this is how I looked. I was at 34 and I thought I was out of shape.
And I thought I was out of shape. And I said, oh, wonderful. Like
I thought I was
I feel like, okay, I get it. We're looking pretty good.
Yeah. And then I said, this is the last time I would consider. So the conversations she had with you is literally what we talked about when we first started working together. She asked me also, when was the last time you felt like you were in shape? And I had sent her this video. So this was me in 2017. That was the last time I considered myself in shape, but I was doing Whole30. I had worked out. I was working out once a day, but I was pretty active, right? Because I was living in Medellin at the time. So I was walking everywhere. I didn't have a car and stuff like that. That's the last time I would consider myself in shape. And I said, I don't know what else I said after that, but that is the conversation we were having. So I'm at 185 right now. And I was like, I don't know if I want to try to get here because I feel like that might be unrealistic. That's
and
how
the catch is, right? Here's what I'm saying to her is, it's not that one is unrealistic, right? It's not necessarily that. But what is unrealistic is it happening in the time frame that it happened before. And oftentimes we want it to happen in the same time frame that you did all the unrealistic things, but you're telling me I want it to be sustainable, but I want that. That is not sustainable in that time frame. It's not going to happen. But what it can be is if you told me that we took time off the table, there's no time frame, and we're going to keep building away at the habits that you're doing that are going to get you there. Oh, it's going to be there. And that body just may take a year, solid, consistent year that you do not let up, but it's consistent. We could travel, we could do all the things, but it's going to take a year and a half to get there because we haven't been doing all the things. But we don't want to hear, right? We don't want to hear that it's going to take a year. But
And
what
that's
we
been
do
my
want to
biggest
know is
problem,
it's not
right?
going to take 3 months.
That is my biggest problem. I think the time thing, because for me, when I don't start to see immediate results, I start to
You're
get
done.
demotivated, right? But that's a question that I have. I'm going to ask you to give me feedback about working with me. But thank you for saying good job. That was old Libria. That is not how Libria looks right now. But here's what I do appreciate about this conversation that we had. Netra, what is the one compliment that I always give you, or one of the compliments, because I compliment you a lot because I think you're amazing, is that you are so perceptive. Like, you could talk to Netra for 15 minutes and she got you figured out. Like, she knows, like she can see the things that you're not saying. So when I showed her that picture and we talked, and I was like, I know I can't look like that again. I just want to be healthy. And she was like, why do you think you can't look like that again? She was like, I think you do want to look like that again. And you've just decided that you can't. So you're trying to say you don't want it. And I was like,
Yeah. And I know you were like, why did
just
you do
met me.
that?
I'm acting like you've known me my whole life.
Listen, and I remember the day I said that too. And that moment was maybe this moment where I'm taking a chance, y'all, as a coach. I'm taking a chance that I've built enough rapport with somebody even quickly that I can say the truth and it not be like, well, why'd you say that to me? Because I care enough that I don't want you to lie to me. I want you to tell me the truth, right? I want you to tell me the truth.
It was like, how does she know?
Yeah.
Because the truth is, I do want to look like
you
that
want
again.
that.
But
And it's hard.
I have decided that I
And you
can't.
can't
And
get it.
so I'm not allowed to want it. You remember earlier we were talking about things that we don't deserve. I don't think I am allowed to want that at
And
this
it's like
point in my
so
life.
many ladies want what they want, but there's something telling you that I'm not supposed to aspire to that. I'm old enough that I'm not supposed to want to look like the bikini model, right? Because would y'all all agree when we see the picture that Libria is talking about, she could have been on the magazine cover, right? That's what I'm saying. But we think that we're not supposed to want that, or that because it takes longer to get it, or that you just don't know how to get it, that it's not supposed to be. And so you kind of like shrink down what you want just a little because you're like, you know what? I can never get that again. And we settle into, you know, we downplay what we want. But the fact is, I tell people every day, if you want to freaking look like, because here's the deal, I will always talk about what is sustainable.
Yeah.
Right. But if you want to look a certain way, I can still walk you through sustainability and how to get that particular body that you want. I'm gonna always get your health first. We're gonna make sure you're very healthy, but we're gonna get that body, but you have to give yourself enough time. And you have to be willing.
That's my problem.
Right? You got to be willing to give the effort intentionally for the long haul. And I promise you that that body is still there and it's going to show up and it's going to be even better.
Underneath this dress somewhere.
But you have to give yourself enough time. And that's the problem with most of our ladies, like we over 40, you just don't give enough time in the right habits.
Right.
And we cut it close. We change it. We like, I'm bored with that. I want to change it. That's not glamorous enough. I don't want that anymore. I get bored easily. No, it's because you want what you want. And you don't understand that to get this life, it is not like this big, like grandiose thing. It is day in and day out doing the things that help you be ready and successful and having the body and the health you want. And that doesn't come with like, I'm going to change it every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Because I got bored. There is some monotony there. It doesn't have to be boring. No. But there is some monotony there because that's how you build the routine. That's how we're consistent. And I tell people every day, and you may remember I told you this, there is no out. And often
that's one of the best conversations
we are either in or we're out. Y'all drop it. Who feels like that? We're either I'm all in and you go like hard.
She hit us with that Heidi Klum.
Right?
1 week you're in, 1 week you're out.
You can't be all in or all out. We have to be all in all the time. But what that means is there's differing levels of in. When it's your ideal scenario, everything's working like you want. You got your 4 strength training days. You walking every day. You're on your bike. Life is great. Family life is wonderful. My job is great. I'm doing all the things, right? That's here.
Yeah.
Then like one notch down is, you know what? Ooh, life trying to life. I just had to come one notch down. Maybe I can only do 3 strength training days, but I'm still walking every day. I'm still here. Now I call this one, this is like crisis. It's hit the fan. This is, oh my God, like something has happened in my family. Somebody is sick. Somebody has died. Whatever is happening, this is this next stage. But this is when people usually tap out.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to tap out here because you think that life just happened and you're supposed to walk away. That's when you realize you do not have a habit, because when the habits are there, there is no walking away from it. And
Yeah,
we have
because you don't
to
just stop brushing
understand,
your teeth, right? When life
yes,
starts.
you don't stop doing that. It's a life that we built. And the moment that you realize that we're not building a life and a fitness and health routine over here, we're building one life. And when you realize that this is always in the life, then you will never fail. You will always find ways to win with it, and you'll get what you want because it's happening every single day and you do not step out.
Yeah. I, amen. Let the church say amen. Let me ask. So
What
we
is
got
that
a couple of
saying?
more
I get really
questions.
frustrated at 51 MD. I
Wait,
get really
yeah, we
frustrated.
got a couple of questions, a couple more
Okay.
questions to hit.
Okay.
So this person, she
Oh,
asked two
perfect.
questions. She has two questions, but I want to layer them in together. Okay.
Perfect.
So she asked, please talk about protein for people that don't eat meat or dairy.
Wonderful.
She also asked about, somebody else also asked about protein shakes, snacks, and powders. So can
Okay.
we do all that in this one?
So, first things first is oftentimes when people don't eat meat or dairy, they tend to be very protein shake heavy or they're just under proteined. Okay. Because you don't like the things that actually get you protein. So, first question for Jackie is, do you like plant-based protein sources? Do you like edamame? Do you like lentils? Do you like tofu, tempeh? Do you like those items? Because some people who don't eat meat are also those who do not eat soy products, do not like tempeh, do not eat those. So then we have to look at that differently. So help me out. Tell me if you like some of those things. And then the other part is you have to eat them in enough volume while we manage the carbs. Because those who do not eat meat or dairy, oftentimes you start to eat very carved out items. And so, for example, if you are somebody who is, say, in their 50s, and all of a sudden you do not eat meat, but we also are at this stage of life where you're getting slightly carb sensitive, but you also then said, oh, I don't eat meat. So now my carb load has jumped. And then you're like, wait a minute, my cholesterol good for the time being, but I'm gaining weight. Like what's going on? Is because that carb load has snuck up on you because now your activity does not support the carb load that you're using. So you must use things like tofu, tempeh, and I'm not going to say seitan. So for those of you who may eat, who may be plant-based eaters, seitan is not going to be a great option. Seitan is just straight gluten, just so we know what that is. And I would tell for many of you in this age range, seitan is probably not the best option. But tempeh, tofu, then also plant-based meat substitutes, the brand name Abbott's. If you all have ever seen that, Abbott's, Abbots, they have a very good plant-based food line that is minimal ingredients, y'all. It is pea protein, but it only has seasonings and the pea protein. It's not textured protein, but it is pea protein. Also, the company called Good Life or Big Life Foods. They also have tofu, and they have non-soy tofu for those of you who feel like you don't want to eat soy. They have a chickpea version, and they also have a fava bean version, which I personally think is a better option for most people. It's a fava bean version. It's less carbs and higher protein. So there's a lot of things that you can do. Plus lentils. Lentils will help you with managing cholesterol. They will help you with your iron count. Like there's so many reasons why. And then when you do that, then you have to also, and so great. So I see that black bean burger is a reason why I didn't say those specifically. You have to find the right brand or either make your own. Those of you who are plant-based eaters, make your own black bean burgers. That is probably your better option because there's less ingredients. Okay. Because what we're trying to also control is ingredients. All right. And so if you can, then you also, once you are eating a lot more beans, you need to control the quantity because you need to add in all of your veggies, because then we need to be very well rounded with all your vitamins and minerals and make sure that you get enough protein intake. Now, those of you who honestly may still get a little low, This is when essential amino acids, like say a brand called Keon is an excellent brand. It is an essential amino powder that is very helpful because it can help somebody who is slightly low on protein build a little bit more muscle. You can always use creatine, but I know some of you do not like that, but that is a great option as well. But you cannot let that water get low with creatine. And then also you can buy essential amino pills. There's a company called Bionutraceuticals. Okay, that they also have an essential amino pill that can help you build bone and build muscle if you are somebody who is struggling in that category. Now, last thing, if you do want to have a protein shake, for those of you who do struggle, then and you're a plant-based eater, then maybe have one protein shake every other day. Or if you're really struggling and that needs to be a part of your meal regimen, then have that one protein shake. But I would tell you, try to eat the majority of your food. Hopefully I answered that. I know I said a lot of things.
The only thing that we didn't hit on is protein snacks, shakes, and powders.
And then protein snacks. So remember, most protein snacks, if you're going to buy packaged items, if that's what we mean, if we're buying, say, like a protein bar, I would tell you that the majority of those that taste good, there's way too many ingredients and they have a lot more sugar than you probably want. So you probably need to be mindful of that. And then if it's protein snacks, is this somebody who eats meat now or no?
I don't think she mentioned whether or not she eats meat.
Okay. If it's protein shakes, I would tell you again, most people try to eat your food. But if you are going to do a protein shake, it's still, if you are not a plant-based eater, still whey protein isolate is still gold standard for protein powder, or you can buy an egg white powder version if you do not want to do whey. If you are a plant-based eater and you only want plant-based proteins, know that they do not taste the same. And most plant-based proteins, you're still going to have that hint behind it of pea protein. I would tell you, for some of you who do like a plant-based protein, ones that are mixed, and this is very important, ones that are mixed that are, say, pea protein, brown rice protein, plus chickpea protein all together. For some of you, you might find that it upsets your stomach. So just be mindful of that, because oftentimes they may have other plant algae in it at the same time that can be upsetting to your stomach. So watch out for that.
Okay. I'm going to get to, wait, was there? Okay. So I got another question for you. I'm going to go on to the next segment. I've saved questions. Guys, feel free to ask questions. I've saved them. But I want to talk about a few of the conversations that you and I have had together that have been mind-blowing for me, that have been kind of game-changing, because I want the folks watching this to hear some of the things that you've said to me that have just like completely changed the game for me. So I worked with Coach Netra for 15 weeks. We worked together, and then I want you to know how people work with Coach Netra. So we worked together for 15 weeks, and she has an app that we go into. I literally send her my food. I was sending her my food every single day. And when I say she knows me, like, this woman, like, she can tell when I'm on top of my game, when I'm not. She would even text me and be like, "Are you okay? Because I feel like the way you sending me these food pictures don't seem right." Like, we're not even exchange words, but she can tell when I'm like off. So when I say perceptive, like, it's a superpower. But we have a weekly call. Was it Tuesday nights?
Tuesday.
So every Tuesday night we get on a call just like this, and we're talking about a different topic, and she sends a replay. I learned so much on those calls, but also you're there with a whole bunch of other people that are working on it too. So you guys are all sharing ideas, and they're all in the app too. So just like I shared this recipe, we were all sharing recipes and, wins and challenges and stuff like that. And then the other thing is, if you need a one-to-one call, because there were times where I needed like just me and you, girl. Like, I don't need to talk to everybody. I just need to talk to you. Or she felt like I needed. There were actually most of the time it was you. You were like, "We need a one-to-one. Let's get together because we need to talk about some things." So that's how you work with Netra. So a couple of things that she said to me in all of these, like either text, one-on-one call, or voice call, is one of the conversations we had that she kind of brought up here was, do you have a health goal or do you have a vanity goal? Right? And a lot of the things that we've been talking about, and a lot of the things I hear people saying, like, you might have a vanity goal, right? So there's being healthy, and then there's, being, and there's nothing wrong with having a vanity goal. But one of the conversations you and I had about whether or not I wanted to do weight loss or weight loss drugs and stuff like that, you were like, do you want to be healthy or do you want to look a certain way? Because you you pulled my card, you snatched all my edges. Like, look, I got a bald spot right here because she snatched
I'm
my
so
edges.
mad
I'm
at
just
you.
saying. I've had that bald spot when I was in high school. I ain't gonna blame that on you. But she snatched my edges because she was like, you're already healthy. Like, you're already a healthy person. You could keep doing what you're doing and you'd be fine. You are unhappy because you have vanity goals. And that's a whole different level of consistency and commitment. So you got to be clear on like, look, can you talk about like your
Yeah.
methodology and thought process on health goals versus vanity goals? And it's, you can have
Yeah.
both, right?
Absolutely, you can have both, and I love it. Karen just said, "I have both." Yeah, look, Karen, don't we all? Look, I'm never gonna lie. Like I think we all really do. But for those of you who have health concerns first, it's like, listen, let's address what's really going on with your health, and it's still gonna be all the habits, and you're gonna lose weight in the process. Your body's gonna change regardless, just when we're trying to be healthy. But for those of you who, quite frankly, are very healthy, say like Libria was healthy, we don't have any health concerns, nothing
Can
at
I put it in
all.
perspective real quick? When I say healthy,
Yes.
like I'm sure that some of the visceral fat that I have is not long-term healthy. So I do need to remove some of that. But we're not just saying that I'm healthy. Every time I go to the doctor, I have never had high blood pressure in my life. I am 46 years old. I don't even know what high blood pressure looks like. You know how they tell you your numbers? I don't even know what they mean because I've never had to know. I've
Mhm.
gotten blood tests and all my blood panels come back. My panels are healthy. I shared my blood panel with you, right? That I got from the endocrinologist. The
Mhm.
only thing that came back was that my vitamin D levels were low, and that was it. Like for the most part, every time I go get a wellness check, the only things wrong with your girl is I got back problems and asthma. Like that's it.
Yep.
So I want to put that in perspective. I'm not just saying I'm healthy, like the doctors have said it.
And by the way, it was so funny because then when she said that the vitamin D was low, I was like, Libria, why are you not taking the vitamin D pills that I told you that you were supposed to be taking? Then it was like, wait a minute, why did you not follow what I told you to do? But
I
meanwhile,
did. I
health
want to announce that I
glowing.
did start.
The
I did
healthy
start taking
health
it.
was glowing. Everything that we have been doing, because Libria travels and she's always gone and doing all these things, and that can lead for a lot of people to some spikes in health concerns. But we were right on with everything. I was so excited. I was like, yes, this is looking so good. But here's the deal. I said to her, you know what? You are healthy. So then what is it that you really want? Because a healthy body is not all the goal, or the way we eat to be healthy is not always the way we eat when we want to look different. However, when we want to look different, we always got to eat healthy. Okay. So they are not synonymous, but one will always produce the other and the other one doesn't. So healthy eating does not always produce the look. However, when we're trying to go for the look, if you work with me, you're going to always be healthy. That's the difference.
Oh
We're gonna
my
go for
God.
the look, but you're gonna always be healthy first. Okay. And
I just want to be
always.
clear. She said, when you work with
And with
me.
me, you're gonna always be healthy. I'm never gonna take you down a road that you're not gonna be healthy. It's 100%. I said it earlier, 100% no. You will always have to be healthy, which means that we're gonna have to take the right amount of time. Or if you're
Yeah.
ready and you are aggressive enough and you can, then we can take you there too. But you have to be ready for that. So
Yeah.
I said to her, really, like, do you want that? And that was the day that this one here said, I just feel like I shouldn't. Why do I have to work that hard? I feel like I shouldn't have to. And I said, who told you that? Who told you that?
You were
Who
like, you
told
don't have
you
to if you don't want to.
if you
You
don't
don't
want
have
to?
to. You
And I
ain't
said,
finna
well,
be
guess
like that.
what? I
You ain't
said,
finna be
guess
like
what?
that.
You don't have to. You don't have to. I said, you know what? You're right. You
Right.
don't have to. And guess what? And I know this was just as raw. And I said, guess what? You don't have to. And guess what? You could still get what you got. That's
You gonna get
flat
what you
out.
got.
You could
Edges
keep getting
gone,
what you
y'all.
got. You very healthy. We've got all the habits. We got it all. But when we're talking about, we want to change how we appear. That is the main focus. That
Yeah.
is a slightly different eating style that is intent on changing how we look. That is a different level of commitment. It means that 90% of the time you are really eating a certain way to look a certain way. We're still going to be healthy, but then you still have that 10, sometimes 15% where you got a meal or two that are you're just doing different things. Totally fine. And that is sustainable if that's what you want.
Totally fine.
But if you don't want that, right,
Just be
then
healthy.
don't.
Just be healthy.
But
It was a great conversation. Like when I say I left the conversation emotionally drained, and not in a way that was like something was taken from me, but it was such a real conversation. It was such a like I think we were at the end of our 15 weeks, right? And you were like, I need to check on you. I haven't heard from you. You ain't checked in, like yada, yada, yada. And I left that conversation just feeling so drained because it was a let's be all the way real
yes.
about all the things that you say you want, all the things that you are doing, all the things you are not doing, right? And then the things that you're considering. What are the implications of those? And you like laid it out so plainly and so like direct. One of the things I do love about you is you are direct, but not judgmental or harsh at all. It's just like, babes, this is what it is. Like, this is how it
Mhm.
goes. So
Mhm.
consider this, make sure you think about that. And no, you don't have to do any of this. But you're
Yep.
not going to get what you want. And so I want to thank you, for calling me into that conversation because I was ignoring you for a while, child. I
She
was like,
did. She did.
we ain't
That's how
working
I
together no
knew.
more. Why she checking on me? Why you in my business?
Yes.
The 15
God
weeks
knew
is
for
up.
it.
So I appreciate you, A, for calling me into that conversation, but B, just creating a space where I could like lay out what I was feeling, what I was dealing with, and be honest about what I was feeling and dealing with. And then C, I appreciate you just being very straightforward. Like you weren't trying to sell me nothing. You weren't trying to talk me into anything. You weren't trying to tell me exactly what I needed to do. You were just like, here's what it is, Libria. You make the decisions from there. Like that's it. So I'm actually kind of getting, choked up because it was such a
Oh,
good
yes.
conversation and really just flipped a switch. I
Mhm.
am a healthy person and I'm very grateful that I'm healthy. A lot of
Mhm.
people aren't.
Aren't.
And I could not be healthy, right? And so I really do appreciate that. And that was one of the things that came out of that conversation. Like, you have health, and health is a big deal. Like, let's not pretend like being healthy isn't important. I'm actually like for real getting teary eyed because I think about
Mhm.
all the people in my family who are not healthy at my age,
Yep.
right? And so
Yes.
that's just a huge unlock, right? And so the
Yeah.
rest of it is what else do you want, and what are you willing to do to get to it?
Mhm.
So I just want to thank you for that. Oh
Yes.
my God,
And
you
people
got
on
me
the
crying
side
in front
did
of people.
it's all right. Look, it's
It was a good
it's a
conversation,
vulnerable
Netra.
moment.
It was.
It's a real these are real moments. And remember what
Yeah.
I said to y'all earlier, somebody who was last week, this was somebody who is new to me, who is joining my client roster, who is in tears
Mhm.
because she's 240 pounds and feels like, how is this possible? How can I
How?
be here when I feel like I do all this stuff?
Yeah.
I've been struggling so long. And I'm like, it's okay. We're going to
Yeah.
work through it if we could take time off the table and just work to be fit and healthy and consistent.
Consistent.
That's
And that's
it.
the thing. I think the timepiece is the biggest issue because you want it now. We want
Yes.
it now.
Everybody
We want
want
it
that.
by homecoming.
Yeah, we want it
We want it
right
by homecoming.
now.
So also I got two more things that she shared with me that were like mind blowing for me. Um, Healthy is relative. I told her I eat pretty healthy. And she was like, girl, that don't mean nothing. She didn't say it like that, but she was just like, healthy is relative. And I'm gonna do my best to explain what I learned from you. And you can, because I want to prove I'm a good student. I was that kid in school. Like I need a gold star. I need you to know I'm smart.
You
So the
got it.
way I took that was I used to eat really healthy in my mind. Like, actually we talked about this in the chat in your app, right? You remember this?
Mhm.
So I saw a picture of a salad. I saw a picture of a salad
You
and I was
posted
like,
this one too.
yes, I posted it.
You
It was,
posted
let me tell you what was in the salad. It was spinach, salmon, bacon, 2 eggs, looked like a whole avocado, feta, and sauteed zucchini. I Before working with Netra, I would have been like, that's a healthy salad because it is. It's a
it
healthy
is.
salad, right?
It is.
And that's the kind of thing, what thing I would have been eating when y'all saw that picture of me looking like a fitness model. That's what I would have eaten. And I would have tried to eat that now today, right? But working with Netra, I understand that that is a healthy salad. It's not a healthy salad for me because it had 6 fats in it. Now I can look at that salad and be like, that's 6 fats. Let me break them down for you. Tell me if I get them right, Coach
Yes.
Netra. Bacon, high in fat. Salmon, we love to eat salmon as a healthy meal, but salmon
Yeah.
is high in fat.
Yep.
The eggs, it had the yolks in it. That's 2 eggs, fat, feta, fat. Oh, avocado. It was a whole avocado, and I love me an avocado, and it's a healthy fat, but a whole avocado is a lot of fat. Then it was sauteed zucchini. Now you know they cook that zucchini in olive oil,
It's something.
fat, and then they put dressing on it, fat, fat, fat. Like so, that's actually 7 fats. So like now I can look at that and be like, that looks like a delicious salad. What I'm gonna do is if I'm gonna eat the salmon, there ain't no avocado on there, there ain't no bacon, we're not doing cheese, or I'm gonna balance it out.
And you're
And
done.
so when I tell you the healthy is relative comment, like I look at food so differently now, and I can see
Yeah.
like, oh, that's a lot of carbs, or that's a lot of fat. Maybe I need to make these kind of adjustments. It's almost like you giving me a whole new set of eyes. Like I can see
Mhm.
it now. You know what I'm saying? Did anybody
Love
else like
it. Well, look,
did
well
you have
done.
Vera?
And there may be some people right now who are saying, hey, it's nothing wrong with that. But we must remember everybody's objective is very different. And remember what she just said. It wasn't a point of, is that salad healthy or not? It was. There's nothing there that was like, whoa, that's a problem. But when we put all that together in a day, the fat grams in that one salad is the amount that many of you need in an entire day.
Yeah.
So when we do things like that, we unknowingly create very high calorie meals that are healthy, and we're struggling with, how come I'm gaining weight? How come I'm not losing any? It's just because the choices don't
Yep.
add up to the objective. And it's not
Mhm.
because it's going to change your health, but here's the tricky part. While those things are healthy, we still have to understand that overly taking in calories on anybody's body over the long haul produce unhealthy outcomes regardless.
Mhm.
So this is why I say it's tricky, because you can do things that are very healthy, but over the long term, if those very healthy items are still producing over caloried eating habits, right? And in the wrong area, too many fat grams for you, and you don't have enough activity and enough muscle mass to support it, I still want you to understand what it turns into. Because
Yeah.
as you keep doing that, your body fat is still getting higher. And the more
Mhm.
body fat on your body, it's still going to end up at some point turning into, you got high cholesterol
Right.
or your sugar is elevated. Because then we think, oh, the sugar, that's just from us eating sugar. No, no, it is not. It is from higher fat items plus high processed foods plus lack of activity and lack of muscle mass. Then you're going to see sensitivities. And so it's so important that you understand what you put in your body, and not in this like hypochondriac type of, oh my God,
Right.
way, but just in an awareness way,
Awareness.
so that you
Yeah.
keep yourself healthy and fit for the long term.
I love that. Especially when people are posting like what I eat in a day. So you see that, right? Everybody's posting the what I eat in a day videos. And a lot of times I'm watching these videos, and honestly, a lot of these girls are under 40 because I'm watching these videos. I'm like, boo, you eating a lot of fat. I can't rock with
So
you.
you know how me to
And
do it.
so I love them from an inspiration and ideas standpoint, but it just goes to show you can't just do what other people are doing. Everything that other folks are doing don't work for you. I was watching one the other day. The girl, she's in great shape, but what she showed that she's eating, just her breakfast alone, I was like, I can't eat that. It's got way too much fat. Girl, I ain't gonna look like you eating that because you
Yeah.
clearly are 33 years old. And I
Yeah, and
am clearly about to be
that's the other
50.
implication is
No.
oftentimes what we see are people who also are keto eaters, but they
Mhm.
don't say it. But that's what
That's a
they're
good
doing,
point.
but they don't tell you that, but that is what they're doing, and it's gonna produce, again, it's gonna produce something very different, faster,
Mhm.
but you can't stay there for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But then you're also seeing people who potentially at times are under 30. It's a very different life. And you're seeing somebody who's under 30 who also it's their profession. This
Yeah.
is, you have to be very mindful when you're seeing certain things. And it's somebody's profession, that means we work out differently, we train
Yeah.
harder. It is very
Taking
different.
different
So you can't
supplements.
do what I do, right?
Right.
It's different because this is what I do for a living. Or you also don't know that people take fat burners every day. So you don't know that when you see these things and you're like, oh, but you don't know they supplement routine.
Yeah.
You literally don't understand they take fat burners every single day. They work out twice a day.
Yep.
And this is what they do. So there's things that are behind the scenes that you don't always know. That's
Mm-hmm.
why age group for age group, you need to be able to see people. You can get all the creativity in the world, but then we've just got to make that be wait, because
Make
you
it work
like
for
it.
you.
It's like, let's show you how to do it for you though.
Yep, for you.
For
And
you
that's
and
what I
your
love
life, let me
about.
show you how to rearrange that for you. But it's
Yeah.
still the same meal. It's just we rearrange it a little bit to get what you want and what you need.
I love that. And I will say, she did not turn me into some crazy person that's like literally counting calories and stuff like that. I have weighed my food before, but it's more to learn how to visualize things, right? So like I started out scooping my rice in a measuring cup just because I needed to see what does a serving of rice actually look like because I didn't know. Okay, so the next thing that you told me that was mind blowing was I was traveling to Rwanda.
Mm-hmm.
It's my favorite trip. One of my favorite conversations with us.
And you did
And
so
I was
good.
scared. We had been doing pretty well. Like I was doing pretty well for like the first 4 weeks. And I was like, I'm about to travel to Africa and I feel like I'm gonna fall off because y'all know what Africa is. It's meat, it's sauces, it's rice. That's it. And I'm a sauce girl. I love some sauce. I love a sauce. Woo!
Mm-hmm.
Meat is sauce is rice. And I was like, I am so afraid. I literally scheduled a meeting with her. So this is one of the meetings where she didn't ask me. I asked her. I was like, I need to talk to you because I ain't finna mess this up. Um, and I was stressed out about messing up
Mm-hmm.
all of the progress because I'm in Africa and I don't have access to make my own food. And we're going out to eat. I'm not picking the restaurants because I was on a group trip. And you said something that was so freeing. And I say it to this day to people. I be saying it to people like I came up with it. Knowledge, I'm just playing. I tell them that you said it. I do tell them that my coach said it. But it was so freeing for me. You said if you can't control your ingredients, control your portions. So like now, if I'm going out to eat with friends, I don't feel like, oh man, I really shouldn't go out to eat. I'm gonna do two things. One, I'm gonna try to make the best food choice possible. And then B, I'm going to try to control the portions of that food that I am consuming.
Mm-hmm. And it's that one's always a tricky thing because we have to be able to enjoy life,
Yeah.
but we also can't be so rigid and so controlling that you can't go anywhere. Like that's not real. And
Yeah.
that's why I say, like, in this stage, we have to be able to do things that are sustainable and you have to learn. Because if you don't learn, then you're only locked into, I know how to eat this. But
Mhm.
when you go to somebody's party, when you go out of town, you go on vacation, you're not going to be able to eat from this meal plan. You're not gonna be able to do that. And so then people get stuck. And then it's like one day goes wrong, and then it's like, forget about it. It's over. But the deal is when you understand like portions, when you understand how to balance the plate, you will always be able to do it no matter where you are. And then from there, it's a choice that you make. That's it. It's just one or two choices that you make about how much of it you're going to eat. And it won't stop you from enjoying the trip. And you are foodie, right? We got more ladies who are very eclectic eaters, very foodie-esque, right? We love a good meal. But
Ooh,
it means let's just manage that a little bit closer. That's all.
yeah.
Manage
And
it a little tighter, but we still gonna have the meal and we're
and
gonna love it.
let's talk about how I came back from Rwanda looking better than I did when I left. Actually, I think throughout that 15 weeks, that was the best because I felt so good about it. I'm gonna share one more audience question, and I'm gonna ask you a closeout question because we've been
Yep.
hanging out for a long time. I need to let you go, and I still got this facial to do. You know what I'm saying? So,
I know. I got a
someone
fire up
asked,
in here.
"What do you suggest for calcium and vitamin D for gluten and lactose intolerant people?"
What would you share for getting your for anybody who is gluten and lactose intolerant, your vitamin D, I think what you're worried about is you got to separate out that vitamin D. You can just take that solo. You're not worried about gluten or lactose intolerant for vitamin D, but separate it out. Make sure that you take vitamin D, like D3K2. That is what is kind of gold standard for today. Vitamin D3K2, take it separately. And then for those who struggle with gluten intolerances, you still have to be able to get calcium. And you can find plant-based calcium sources, but you can also eat it. And if you have shown that your calcium is low, You can still take calcium supplements. It's just a different form that it won't interfere with gluten or lactose intolerant. And you can also eat it. The majority of your calcium, believe it or not, is going to come from your green vegetables. And so then we just have to understand which green vegetables are you okay eating. And if you are good with all of them, cook them just a little bit, do a good combo sometimes of raw sometimes, but cook too. And so you can manage absorption. But you shouldn't have any issues getting it because you don't, use, dairy products. It is actually, for most people, that's really a smaller way that they get dairy. And it's really just people who probably eat more yogurt, because most people don't drink milk anymore. And the amount of calcium you even get in that is on the low end. It's usually going to be dairy products like yogurt, like Greek yogurt or plain yogurt. But most of it you're going to get from your veggies. Did I answer that? Whoever, Eileen, let me know if that answered or if you need a little bit more. But yeah, you should get most of that from your veggies. And remember, D3K2, split that pill out and don't try to find one with the calcium and the D together. Split that out.
I like it. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a closeout question. We've had a great conversation. I enjoy talking to you. This has been enlightening. You guys should follow her on Instagram, reach out, ask questions. She's super helpful. And she shares a lot of content on Instagram as well that's, aligned with everything that she said here today as well. Oh, she said yes. She's
perfect. I see it. Perfect. Thank you.
I'm glad you're still here. I was worried you might be on,
so do it.
because we've been here for a while. So, Netra, you've given us a lot of good information, a lot to digest and to address within ourselves. I got to have a come to Jesus with myself all over again after this. If we could only change 2 habits over the next, let's say 30 days, just 2 habits, what do you think they should be in general?
God, Lou, just the 2.
Yeah, think about it while I plug
like biggest bang for our buck. I will tell you, biggest bang for your buck. 2 things, biggest bang for your buck. My number 1 is going to be, you got to sleep. That is number 1. Biggest bang for your buck. And so you got to at least give me a quality 5. Can we at least get a quality 5? And some of y'all can I at least get a quality 4? And what quality 4 means is that you did not wake up. Not one time.
I'm glad you said that.
One time. Because you could tell me, well, I sleep for 7 hours, but you woke up 3 times. No, that's not quality sleep then. We didn't get it.
I got to interrupt you. I'm so sorry. But I love that you just said quality 4 or 5, because everybody's like, get 8 hours of sleep. And I feel like, you guys let me know, am I crazy? But I feel like a lot of us, if we can't hit whatever the goal is that people are telling us, if I can't hit 8, I'm just not going to try. If I can't do it, why try? Why bother?
Yes.
And so you're like, here's a starting point. Yes. Just give me this. And that feels a lot better than, I'm not about to get 8 hours of sleep. I'm just not. You remember that night I tried? You remember them 2 nights I tried? And I was like, this was a horrible experience.
Listen, and here's what I'll tell you. The majority of people, they're not anywhere near 8. So me badgering you about 8 is not helpful because you're so far away. You're not even at 3. How are we going to get to 8?
Baby,
we're not there.
Give me something. Give me
you're nowhere near there. So we got a glide path. Right? We got a glide path in. So Eileen, my watch lets me know how terrible I sleep, but I'm slow to getting close to 8. Oh, fantastic. 8 hours has always been more than enough. If I can get at least a quality 5, I feel good. Yes. And so here's what I'll tell you. Studies may show that a solid 7 or 8 is best. But I also know that in real life, right? Not in a bubble. Not people who living in a bubble, but people who working. We're professionals. We got families. We doing we got a lot going on. I know that for most of you, 8 hours is nowhere near realistic for you at all. It's not really where you are. So if we can get a quality 5, that is very solid. And if you are not even at 3, then can I at least get a quality 4? Approaching a quality 5 that you did not wake up. And I mean, we didn't wake up to pee. We didn't wake up because I looked at the alarm clock, like a quality 5. I went to sleep soundly, and then I woke up 5 hours later. That's number 1. I want you to do that.
Okay. Number 1 of the 2 things that we got to do in 30 days.
Yes.
Quality sleep.
Yes. Number 2, biggest bang for your buck. I know some of you think that it's going to be food, but I think sometimes that takes care of itself when these 2 things happen. I need you to improve your daily step count.
Why you calling me out?
Listen, because let me say this, what I know for sure is that one of the largest concerns with people is managing their weight. The food will get in line. Like it will, even though it may be the harder item for you. But sometimes the unknown is you think just because you exercise that you have enough activity. Many of you just don't. Your step count is so low during the day, or you're saying, well, while I was working out, I did this, right? But the fact is, you sit for 14 hours a day. That means your activity is low. There's no way around you telling me it's not. It is. Okay. And so it means if you can do those two things, I want you to improve your step count. Take any of your training schedule out of it, right? Take your lifting weights, take your cardio day. Like when if you went to the gym and all you did was cardio at that moment and you did 30 minutes, whatever you do, take that out of the step count. I want you to improve that step count to at least, hear me, at least get to 6,000 steps a day outside of the training and the cardio day. This is extra stuff, right? And in reality, Libria knows that I'm really going to tell you, you need to get let's try to get closer to 8, 9, 10. But if you're not even at 6, then we are so far under, you're not going to be active. That's not considered an active person. It's considered a very sedentary person. Even though you feel like I exercise 5 days a week, but the fact is that is an hour or 2 of your time. That is not real active. That's not the rest of your activity. So we got to get you out of these chairs and we got to bump that step count up. And you will find that those two things, manage the sleep, pay attention, get that right now. And number 2, improve your step count like tomorrow. Because those are two things you can do right now.
How you gonna come on my channel and attack me though?
Listen, I see it. Lakeisha says,
How
I feel
you gonna
attacked.
come here and
Listen,
attack
I
me?
get it. Listen,
I
and
don't understand. I thought we
Eileen
were
says,
cool.
I barely.
How you gonna come
Listen,
here
so
and attack
wait,
me?
Karen says, I need to up my steps. I get at least 15,000. So Karen doesn't need to up her steps unless, Karen, you're a nurse or, something like that. If it's your activity, I need to add exercise. Oh, look, Karen just put a whole new thing. Oh my, am I so nervous right now and feel exposed? That means, Karen, it may be your profession.
Oh,
Is that something like that? Like you're just getting 15,000, but it's not real. It's not exercise. Karen been exposed.
like I said, she's perceptive. I
Yes,
did tell
you
you
got to get
guys.
it. You got to get it because Karen eat good. I've already seen it. Karen's eating pretty well. There could be something off. I don't know, but Karen's eating pretty well. But I think Karen's saying she don't exercise.
Okay, so
But we got the steps.
she got steps. She got to get the steps
Yeah.
for real, for real. So yeah, I will tell you. Like I remember the first time I hit 10,000 steps in a day, and I was so excited. I was like, "Oh, look, teacher, look what I did!" And she was like, "Is part of that like you going to the gym?"
I love it, Karen.
Take that out. I was like,
Yeah,
"Wait,
take that
what?"
out.
No, I hit the number. She was like, "No, I need you to hit
Number.
about 12,000." No. I was like, "No. You doing the most." Anyway, we've been on here for 2 hours having a
Listen,
great
hold on. I
time.
gotta say it. Wait, I gotta say it. So first
What?
of all, I know because these last comments, Ebony, yes, you got to stand up from that desk. I have to say it. And then Karen, yes, Karen is walking all day, but I'm sure that it is your profession. Something is getting you there, but we gotta find steps outside of the profession.
I
So that
told
is
you
actual exercise and activity, because I will give y'all, this is a real example, because many of my ladies, these are your professions. We're teachers, principals, assistant principals, nurses, doctors. You guys are walking all the time and we think that's your exercise. It doesn't count. Y'all, please tell me, like, that's how you can see somebody who is close to 300 pounds, but they a teacher. They walk every day, all the time.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with anything. It's like, that's just your day. That just happens to be your day. It's not special. That is just what you do.
Yeah.
Right. That's just the same way, like we see the construction worker who is very heavy construction worker. And you're like, God, I don't even understand. They work on the heat. How come they're not smaller? Because it's just what they do.
It's just what they do. So Karen, you right along with us, boo. We all up in our steps. Are you still on the same program we
Karen
on?
eat good though. Oh, okay.
So,
Karen work at the airport. Yeah, you walking constantly.
yeah. So I think all of us are committed to doing exactly what you told us to do this week. So she said starting tomorrow, we get in more steps and we get in more sleep. Actually, we starting tonight on that one. Like,
Yes,
let's get some sleep
I
tonight.
promise.
Let's do this. And someone said that they wake up a few times a night. I think that this goes back to something, Netra, you said earlier, is that a lot of times things are happening to us and we just assume that that's how it has to be. So maybe it's time to understand, like, what's the underlying reason why you're waking up twice in the middle of the night, right? Do you need a better pillow? Do you need a better bed? Do you need to stop drinking liquids after a certain time of day? Like, let's not just accept things the way they are. Let's start questioning everything. Why do I wake up
Yeah,
overnight?
because people, you may be under the impression that that's just typical.
Yeah,
Everybody does that. No, everybody doesn't.
exactly. Exactly.
Everybody doesn't. And so, for those of you who, especially many of you who have all of the menopause and perimenopause concerns, if you are on my page, I have a subscription service where it is geared only to talking about that. It is a subscription-based service where it's in a platform that we can talk differently. You can send questions ahead. I do lives in there, plus we answer stuff. I do a actual subject, like a learning lesson, and then a question and answer every single Tuesday at 2 p.m. and it's recorded. Plus you're asking questions. I'm building a community inside of there. So it's a little bit like less intimidating and not in my full 15-week program, because everybody's not ready for that type of full 15-week program investment for themselves. But you do need some help right now.
Can
Right.
you,
So that's
let's break this down right quick, because I think a lot of people have asked how to work with you.
yeah.
So you talk, I'm a type. Tell me what
Yeah.
the
So I'm
options
going to
are.
tell you the 2 ways.
Hold on, but wait, let me do this right quick. After this, I need y'all to go follow her on Instagram and reach out to her on Instagram. Okay. I will put it in the description box as well. I've shared her Instagram link a few times, but you got to go find her. I'm sending you directly to her. So go talk to her. She'll hit you up if you inbox her. All right. So what are the ways?
So first, because I think I saw someone say, well, how much does it cost? It is, I'm telling you right now, it's an investment. And it is 100% about, number one, is it right for you? Am I the person for you? Are you really ready to make that type of commitment? But it is a full investment, but it's investment for life. And so hopefully you get a chance to kind of feel that and see that from this conversation. You're making an investment for life. However, that is the first way to work with me, or I'm going to say the more robust way to work with me is in my 15-week program. And I talk to everybody first. We have to have a very good conversation about what is it that you're trying to do? What's really happening to you? Is this something you're ready to do differently to build like lifelong habits and really change a few things around? Even if you feel like what you got is really good. It's just, we got to make some adjustments.
Okay.
That's number one.
Let's talk about what's in the 15-week coaching program.
Yep.
So one, you get a meal plan. I mean, not a meal plan. You get your macros.
Yep.
Right.
You'll get in that program, you're going to get your macros, but more importantly, it's about what is it that you're trying to do? Because many of you, like Libria, did not have really any health concerns, but the majority of people do. They do have health concerns. So it's like, are we trying to get off meds? Are we trying to accomplish getting numbers lower so you don't get on meds? Are we trying to get new habits around your exercise routine? How much exercise is right for you? Is it around your food, right? That's always going to be the deal. And it's a lot of accountability, a lot of suggesting around what makes the most sense for you, but you learning choices. It's not just a standard, I'm going to drop you a meal plan. I do that with a gym client who's in a body transformation. That's not what you're doing there. This is 100% about you understanding and learning. This is a little mini school. Plus there's Tuesday coaching sessions that is education based every single Tuesday, where we're going over new topics that pertain to living this lifestyle and things that can hurt you and things that we need to be able to do to combat. And then it's just overall my support, which is probably more importantly than anything, is you getting access to me every single day of your program. You can talk to me every single day. All right. So that's the 15 weeks. And then in my subscription service, it is specifically, ladies, geared towards perimenopause and postmenopause. And that is kind of my entry point to me in the subscription service, because you're able to just talk about what's really happening. I don't understand this part of my body. I don't understand what's going on with my life. And so we're building that community inside of there that we can talk through it. But I also do it live every Tuesday. And I'll probably, as I grow that community larger, we'll be adding a second live day. And even if you're not live, I put that recording right back. So you have something every single week. Plus you have access to just ask the questions and get answers, whether it be supplement help. What are some best recipes for this? What are supplements that help naturally? What can we do? It is a question and answer, so you fully understand what's going on with your body. Okay, so that is the two ways there. And for those of you who may run businesses or you are HR professionals, I also offer corporate wellness programs as well. So that's a completely different base. It is a team of people who we definitely help employees and we help companies with creating kind of a new benefit structure, but it is within corporate wellness and being better employees. So that's another avenue.
So if y'all are in HR, y'all tell your companies about her. Well, here's what's funny. I didn't bring her on to like
To sell it, but we just
tell
talking
her
about it.
to sell anything. We just came here to have a conversation.
Yes.
So I appreciate y'all asking how to work with her. I really do. I came here because I've been on the struggle bus, and so have a lot of you, my friends. So I was like, let's talk to the coach about it. So real quick, if you guys want to continue to watch me try to implement the things that I learned from Netra and get myself to a place where this is my lifestyle, feel free to check out my Fitness Over 40 vlog. I'm in week 6 right now. I have 4 weeks to go. But let's be clear, we're not trying to be like, oh, we're at 4 weeks. I don't have to go to sleep anymore. I don't have to do 10,000 steps anymore. We're done. I can eat anything I want. Give me that salad with the salmon and the bacon and the avocados. It's not what's happening. This is just me trying to get to the point where this is me just trying to, the whole point of the challenge is me getting to a point where this is part of my life. It's brushing my teeth, it's washing my face, it's taking a shower, right? Like it's just part of life. So feel free to check that out. And in the meantime, please do go follow Coach Netra on Instagram and reach out to her. That's where she is the most active that I've seen. So please follow her there. Feel free to inbox her. She's super sweet, super nice, super approachable. And you know something? When I took your pictures, when I first started working with you and I took your pictures and sent it to my friends, my best friend, she was like, she looks like she has such a good spirit. Like it radiates off the screen. And I can attest, having known you now for multiple months, it's true. You do have an amazing spirit. You have a superpower and you're so knowledgeable. And you handle people with such care. And I really appreciate you taking care of me and taking care of my audience today. So thanks for being here.
Oh, and somebody said, Jackie, thank you so much, Libria. I appreciate you and thank you for having me. I do have a YouTube channel too. And y'all, I know it's so many pieces, right? So many different ways that we communicate with people. I do have a YouTube channel too. And so I'm always going back to it. Like I need to do the lives in YouTube. I have a few, but I post all my stuff on YouTube as well.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you guys. Good night, everyone. Have a great evening. Don't forget this week, starting tonight and tomorrow,
those 2 things.
We get in at least 4 or 5 hours of quality sleep, and we are doing 10,000 steps on top of the stuff that you already doing.
Yes. And y'all remember I said
Karen.
at least 6, at least 6, like at least a 6 that is not a part of your exercise routine, whether it's the cardio, it doesn't even matter, whether it's cardio only day that you worked out or it's your weight training day, whatever it is, you're trying to get at least 6 outside of that. Outside of that.
All right, y'all.
At least 6.
She should go attacking us again.
At least.
All right, y'all. Good night. Bye, everybody. Thanks for hanging out.